Yeah, in just a minute. This ad is just going.
It's fucking going forever and you can't skip it. Oh. Hey.
This ad is just going.
It's fucking going forever and you can't skip it. Twitch is working fine.
Okay. Let me double check. Aw, man, we don't even come up if you. Oh, I didn't spell it right. There we go. Well, this is awkward. I know, it's working fine on here too. Okay, well, everything's fine. Okay, we're gonna stop the stream though and delete this video.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay. Yeah, hello, welcome to Jump and Shoot Bros Streamcast, Mega Man 6 edition. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jeremy.
He's Jump, I'm Shoot. We're bros. That's about all you need to know.
Yep.
We're streaming live from America, and we're going to talk about some spicy topics today.
Yep.
We'll figure that out here in a minute. So let me just double check that our audio is working properly.
I mean, it was. Like
yeah,
2 seconds ago.
It was. But I'm trying to figure out why my phone is being weird.
While you do that, I'll give everybody the tour of the new office.
It's working.
Here's my microphone. Here's Caleb's microphone.
Yeah, you can't see it.
This is something.
Yeah, that's Mako Mankanchuk.
It's a towel, actually, not a wall hanging.
It is, but it works really well.
These are some people.
It's Araragi and all of the Shinobu iterations.
This is that new Netflix special that just came out. That Netflix movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's Elward Edric, as he's known.
So, the new office. Tell us what you think about it. And we're going to be playing Mega Man 6.
Yeah, Mega Man 6.
This is the 6th installation in our new...
We're drinking Sour Monkey again.
Yeah. This is the 6th installation in our new Mega Man Streamcast format.
Of which, like, half of them are, like, broken beyond repair and you can't even watch them.
That's not true. Mega Man 1 was broken beyond repair. And Mega Man 5 or 4 was just a multi-parter.
Right, that's true. Many parts.
Yeah. So, it's been a while since I played Mega Man 6, but if I remember correctly, it's not the hardest Mega Man game.
Okay. Cool. Now, you know, as we know, this is Game Dave's favorite Mega Man, which is really important.
I really like it. It's not my favorite one, but I like it a lot. And really, because I haven't played it much lately, I might have a better appreciation for it now than I did as an 8-year-old.
Yeah. Well, this has got Yamamoto Man, right?
Yeah. Yamamoto Man.
Whatever. Yamamoto Man. It's all the same to me. Yeah, so, man, you want to just jump right into our topic?
Oh, sure. I'll let you start it off since it was your topic.
Okay. Well,
I'll piggyback.
I'd like to start off this little topic with a little story. I was driving through the wilderness of Arkansas, my lovely home state. Just driving through the mountains, doing what you do whenever you live in Arkansas and you have to drive through the mountains. And I happened upon a pile of just abandoned, discarded trailers, right?
Mobile homes.
Yes, mobile homes.
Not like trailers that you haul things.
And when I say a pile, I mean like not really a pile, but like just up the side of a mountain there was just this arrangement of mobile homes that once were some form of like slapped together trailer park,
right,
but are now completely uninhabited, just, open to the elements, rotting away. and it reminded me of how much I hate human beings. But that's not really what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the concept of like waste and like the lack of responsibility that so many people feel about their actions. This is kind of is related to the environmentalism talk that we had before, but it's a little bit different. It's it's kind of a bit of a conservation talk, but also to me it's more about just the fact that people are so like, I guess it's a virtue, almost a virtue in our American society. I mean, I don't know if this is true elsewhere, as well, but it's kind of like a just taken as like obviously true that you should get the cheapest price thing you can find. Yeah. Like that is the way, right? Right. You're not trying to get a quality thing whenever you buy something. You're trying to get a cheap thing.
I would say we are a bargain culture rather than a bargaining culture. Bargaining culture, it's like you're trying to find a worthwhile or quality product at a good price. Right. A bargain culture is just like, we shop at Kmart.
You want to get to the Dollar Tree and buy all of your laundry detergent from there.
Right. Which I do.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
Hey, you know what? It works.
Okay, but maybe you buy your laundry detergent from the Dollar Tree.
I don't buy my tuna from the Dollar Tree.
But do you buy your house from the Dollar Tree?
No.
And so it's a complicated issue, the one of the trailer issue specifically, because I think trailers in and of themselves are a bad investment to make. Yeah. It's a cheap place that is a roof over your head, right? But it's also a horrible scourge that you're putting upon the earth. Yeah. And I think the thing that bothers me the most about it is that trailers are guaranteed to become a rotting pile of worthlessness. There's no outcome where a trailer ever lasts beyond a certain shelf life.
Right. And I'll tag onto that just a little bit. I think that the manufacture of mobile homes is a bad thing. I don't think that somebody who finds a $6,000 mobile home, fixes it up, and lives in it for 10 years is a bad person.
Well, no. And that's the thing. Like, if you buy a new mobile home, you're a bad person, right? If you go out and that is your choice, right, of what you're going to spend your money on. Like, buying a new mobile home is
stupid, by the way, because of how they, one, go down in value, right, and two, they cost about as much as you would spend on a decent used or owned house.
A house that is of the same like square footage as a trailer is going to be, we're talking an old house. You're not going to get a brand new house, right. But like, here's the thing though. A house is still a house. Right. Whereas a trailer is literally scrapped.
Yeah. And as far as that goes, I mean, I can get into the financial aspects of this all day because that's my thing. But that house that's, 35 years old, or that trailer that's brand new, they cost the same, they have the same square footage. In 15 years, that house will be still worth roughly the same, if not more. Right. That trailer will be worth less.
Well, and the thing is, and that's something that I was thinking about too, is that trailers have no intrinsic value. Right. There's nothing about a trailer that would make anyone want to put in the effort to maintain it long term. Right. Because it's so cheap and because no one wants one, right, that once it's planted in a location, it's never going to move. Because moving one is almost as expensive as just going and finding a used one in a location that you wanted at. Right. And so it's just, they are like built to be impractical, right, in the long run. They are at best a temporary solution, but the problem with them as a temporary solution is that they will never leave the place they're in. Right. So like if you own some property, like this happens a lot. Somebody will acquire some property. Good on you. You got property. Right. That's much better than pretty much anything else you could be doing. Right. Because you own something of value. But once if your plan is, well, I'll get this property and then I'll slap a trailer on it so that I have a affordable living situation. until I, have the money to build a house or whatever. Or if your plan is to just live in a trailer,
Right.
that may be different. But a lot of people think of it as like a temporary. Well, I'll put this trailer on this land and then I'll build a house eventually.
Later. Right.
The problem is once that trailer's on that land, it's probably not ever going to move.
Yeah.
Which means that you can build a house, but then that trailer's just going to be there.
Right.
And it's just going to rot away because you have little incentive to maintain it either.
Right.
Because if you build your house far enough away from it, you don't even notice that it's there. And like that's bad.
Now there are people though who will buy a trailer, put it there, and then move it or build a house directly behind it, and then sell the trailer and live. That happened at a place that I've lived at before.
But it is a hard sell, though. A used trailer that's not already like in a trailer park where you can just move in.
Right.
That's a hard sell to anyone because of how expensive it is to move them. If let's say you've just got a basic, single wide trailer. That would be the best case scenario for moving it.
Yeah.
The expense of moving it is still probably going to be more than whatever you buy it for.
Right.
You're probably going to spend
which is a big part of the reason.
$3,000-$4,000 for a single wide trailer whenever you're buying a used one, and you're going to end up paying $4,000 or $5,000 to get it moved.
Right.
So, once you're in it for $10,000, in the neighborhood of $10,000, you can actually kind of start looking at houses.
Right.
Because you can get a house. I mean, you're not going to get a nice house in a nice neighborhood, but you're going to get a house that's going to be worth more than $3,000.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into the the 20s.
Right.
And I know that's double the budget, but the thing is, like, people aren't financing a trailer, right?
Right.
You're buying that in cash. Well, if you got that much cash, you might as well you'd be better off making a down payment.
Yeah.
On a house. I mean, that's just my perspective on it, but maybe I come from a perspective that I can't see somebody else's situation, but I just like if you buy a trailer that's in a trailer park already and it's hooked up and ready to go, then you can sell it. Right. That's a real world option that you have, is to sell it later on because somebody else is going to move in there because it's convenient.
Right.
That I don't have a problem with, as long as it's like an established trailer park that's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to keep on being there.
Yeah.
And your trailer has a chance of living on.
Yeah.
Then it's not the end of the world, but it's the more isolated ones. Like this one I saw in particular, it was like one of those situations where you had like 6 or 7 trailers.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be a viable trailer park.
Right.
That's not going to stay alive long term. Because 6 or 7 trailers is not making anybody enough money.
Right.
To make it worth maintaining. So if you start losing tenants and it's no longer worth your time, then it's easy to just abandon it.
Right.
And I think I imagine that's probably exactly what happened.
True. Or, there's a possibility that the owner died and didn't have anybody legally or whatever, his taxes didn't get paid or whatever.
Right. But it's still, with that being said, it wouldn't have been lucrative enough for somebody else to pick it up.
Right. And
continue it. Whereas if you get larger parks with, like 30, 40 trailers in them, 50, 60, 70 trailers, the more you scale that up, the more profitable it becomes. And then that's like more sustainable.
Right.
But yeah, you should, I think probably the fundamental problem is people want like the experience of having something new.
Right.
And so, like, they'll spend the same amount of money they could have on something that will be worth more, that has more intrinsic value in the form of a house.
Right. The difference, though, is that those people don't have the credit to buy a house or to put a down payment on a house. Therefore, you can go finance, your $70,000 trailer or $100,000 trailer at this no down payment, no problem, no bad credit, no problem type thing. And then, trailers are the perfect, that's the perfect business model for them, because you can go hook up a truck to it and pull it away if somebody doesn't pay for it.
Yeah.
You have to own your own land to get it, but other than that, you don't have to have any credit to buy a new mobile home. And that's the biggest reason that people buy those as opposed to a house. Like, nobody wants to have a trailer instead of a house, I don't think.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I know
most of the time that's true for probably the vast majority. I think there are some people who are just happy in a trailer.
Yeah. Happier than if they lived in a nice house, though, or not a nice house, but
well,
a house.
I don't know, because for some people, living in a trailer is a way that they enable themselves to do things that they wouldn't be able to do if they were strapped with a house payment. You know? But that's really more your buying a used trailer later on, you know, after it's already lost all of its value.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Those are the people who paid cash for a trailer.
But see,
I'm
those
talking
kinds
more
of
about people who buy a brand
are not
new...
the ones I have a problem with.
Right, that's what I was saying. So if we're talking about the people who buy a new trailer...
But, okay, I say I don't have a problem with them. I say I don't have a problem with people who do that. But at the same time, that is a dangerous situation too. That's a risky proposition as well, because if you paid cash for it and it's of very little value to you, then it's easy for you to abandon it as well.
Right. So
I think that almost puts you at just as much risk for of being the bad person that I'm you know, angry with.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like that, you know, but you make a good point. The people who are buying the new trailers, if they don't have the credit to get a house, then, you know, to buy a house under any circumstances, then I don't know. You either rent or you own something of your own, which I guess that's better than renting.
Right.
But is it though?
No, it's not. Buying a new trailer is not better than renting, because, you know, there are things that come up, and we're getting more into the financial aspect than I think what you wanted to talk about. But
no, I'm fine with going this direction too, because I do want to get around to the whole like taking responsibility for your life aspect, because I think they go hand in hand with taking responsibility for the world around you that you inhabit.
Right. So buying a mobile home, first and foremost, they go down in value. They're like
basically a car.
It's like buying a new car. If you buy a new mobile home, you've lost probably a good 20 to 30% of the value the moment you drive it off the lot, so to speak. I mean, because it's junk to begin with. But the other financial aspect of buying a home in general is, if you're not in a financial position to fix problems that may arise with home ownership, then you're definitely not in the financial position to own a trailer. Because take whatever might break on a home and, you know, double it. And that's what can happen to a trailer. Now, if it's a new trailer, it's going to last you a little while before you're going to need anything. But it's still home ownership where you are responsible for all maintenance. And therefore, you know, if you can't afford a home, your credit's not good enough for a home, you need to rent. You need to rent and let somebody else take care of maintenance, and you can take care of what you can afford and rent. And that's just where the whole, you know, aspect of financial responsibility comes from. Most people, they don't think 2 steps ahead of them, of where they are now. They think about what they want right now, and, you know, that's the whole reason that mobile homes are a thing at all. Yeah. Because if you had any financial sense, you would get yourself out of debt, you would get, you know, your credit in the right place, and then you buy a house. Right.
And you know, in doing so, you would own something that actually does have intrinsic value.
And again, we're not talking to people who buy a used mobile home with the intention of living in it for a couple years and selling it down the road, necessarily. Right. If you're responsible for that too.
But in a way, I mean, as long as you're not buying it new, then you're not contributing to the problem.
Right.
Because if you're buying it new, then you are funding the creation of yet more junk that will litter the earth someday. But yeah, I mean, if you're buying it new, you're staving off the inevitable. Right. Or if you're buying it used, rather, you're staving off the inevitable. You know, trash. You know, litter that a trailer will become.
Right. Because it will become that. I mean, there's no...
And I think that this conversation extends to everything that you buy and consume in life. Trailers is what came to mind because that was, you know, what I was looking at whenever I had this thought.
So what do you think about Harbor Freight?
Well, so here's the thing about Harbor Freight. you see those two sets of tools, those two sets of socket wrenches over there? Those came from Harbor Freight. You know, Harbor Freight it sells a lot of junk.
Yeah.
And then they sell some decent stuff. I don't recommend Harbor Freight as your one-stop shop for everything that you buy.
Power tools,
but for hand tools, Harbor Freight is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they have, the thing is, with hand tools, it's just metallurgy.
Right.
It's just metallurgy, and that's so mature at this point that it doesn't matter what, you know, backward side, you know, portion of India that this stuff comes from.
Right.
They know how to make it well enough, no matter where you are on the earth, that it, you know, if it's good, it's good.
Right.
And so, you know, the reality is that, yeah, for hand tools and stuff, I would not spend the big money for, you know, other... Well, now, okay, there's a caveat to that. Screwdrivers, things like that, you should spend good money on them.
Right. Because
the quality of the tolerances and the clearances and stuff that those tools are made to are really important for how they engage fasteners and whatnot. So you should buy quality bits.
Good God, I can't tell you the number of screwdriver bits I've stripped out over the years.
You should buy quality screwdrivers, name brands, American made if you can. Drill bits, American made if you can. Find them. Those are the things you should spend good money on. But like a set of wrenches, as long as they're even in the neighborhood of close to the correct tolerance, it's gonna be good enough.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my perspective. I mean, there are guys who are gonna buy Mac and, you know, Snap-on tools for everything that they buy, and that's fine. More power to you if you're gonna do that.
Right.
It's just that you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because you can get good enough quality stuff from a place like Harbor Freight.
Right.
Now, if you're going to go to Harbor Freight and buy all your power tools, well, I'm sorry, but you're wasting your money and you're just creating garbage that you're going to throw away later.
That's actually the heart of the topic that we're talking about. And that's why I brought up Harbor Freight, because you can go buy a $29 drill, or you can go buy a $140 drill, and the $29 drill is going to be in the junk heap in a few months.
Right.
And the $100 and something drill will be with you for the next several years.
Right.
And it's the same amount of junk and the same amount of battery that you're throwing away. Which is more important, I guess, than the plastic that makes up the casing, the housing. But
right. It's just it's battery, it's plastic, it's metal, it's all resources, right? That are just being scrapped.
Yeah. I'm playing the same stage again, by the way.
I saw that.
Because I forgot that in this game there are branching paths, and depending on where you fight the boss in the stage, depends on whether or not you get a letter to get beat at the end.
Oh, okay, okay. And as we learned last time, you need beat.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
But yeah, so I agree with you on that. But here's another factor. Like, this is gonna rub you the wrong way. TVs.
I think I went the wrong way anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
TVs. You can buy a TCL, right?
Right. Which is awesome.
You can buy a TCL. Great. It's not a very good TV. It looks kind of like ass.
Yeah.
And you're probably gonna put it in your kid's room someday, you know, and that's fine. That's fine. But when the power supply burns out on that in like a year, it's going to go in the trash because it doesn't have enough intrinsic value because it was so cheap.
Yeah.
And because you can get another one for so cheap. It has no intrinsic value and is therefore not worth putting in the effort to get it repaired.
Right.
Right? But like me, for example, I spent $2,600 on that TV in there. Okay? That's an expensive TV. It's an OLED. I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and buy an OLED, but it's the best TV on the market. Here's the thing. If that TV has problems, if that TV needs repairs later on, I am going to spend the money to repair it because I have so much invested in it, right? And so, in a way, just the fact that I spent more money on it makes me more of a good steward of it.
Right.
and because I have more skin in the game.
Yeah.
So the question of whether it is really worth that amount extra is totally debatable and completely subjective. But an objective reality of that is that anybody who buys that expensive TV is going to care more about it.
Right.
Because more of their money is invested in it.
Right.
And I think that's true of everything, you know, that you buy. If you spend more money on something and you have more skin in the game, you're going to take better care of things.
Right.
And a big part of the problem is just the fact that people don't care enough.
Yeah.
You know, we are getting into more and more of a disposable lifestyle as a society, as a whole, and that is a real problem. Like, you know, your phone breaks,
yeah,
and you just get a new one.
Yep.
You know, you don't fix it, you just get a new one.
Yep.
And then I don't, because I buy my phones outright. I don't do the payment plans. So whenever a phone breaks, I either shell out $600, $800 more for a new one, or I repair the one I've got.
Right.
And so I repair the one I've got. But that's just, you know, that just is what it is. But I feel like it's just as relevant with your phone. But everybody's got to get the new phone every year.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I've got a Galaxy S7 that I bought a year and a half ago, and before this, no, it's almost 2 years ago now. And before this, I had a Galaxy S5 that I'd had for almost 3 years.
And before that, you had an iPhone 5.
That's right.
That a customer gave to you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I got it
because you had an iPhone 4, right?
I paid, yeah, and I paid. Actually, I paid $20 for it because I felt bad just taking it from one of my customers.
But she was gonna give it to you.
She was gonna give it to me for free.
Yeah.
And then she canceled her system 2 days later.
Right, but that's a separate issue.
Is it? Or was she like, that bastard only gave me $20 for this phone?
Well, I mean, she was gonna give it to you, so I guess you can't really complain too much if somebody offers you some money for it.
Yeah.
For something that otherwise you were gonna be giving away.
So I don't know if you're paying attention to these stages, but
no, not at all.
These stages are, they're all stylized in the style of the country that this particular robot represents. Okay. So this is the Japanese stage.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see it. I'm seeing it right now. Yeah. Buy quality things.
Yeah.
I spent years of my life, pretty much from the time that I got my first job till like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, buying the cheapest junk I could find for any given thing that I needed. Right. And there just came a time where I was just like, I am tired of buying and replacing shit all the time. I'm gonna buy quality things, and I'm not gonna be replacing my stuff all the time.
I think most people kind of go through that, and my dad just got out of that. He just hit the place that you hit. Like he used to buy whatever he could afford at the moment to get whatever job he was trying to do done. Yeah, and he just like about 3 years ago bought a DeWalt 12. Actually, he bought a 12 volt because it was cheaper. A DeWalt 12 volt drill and driver set. And he was like, I can't believe how awesome this thing is. And I was like, yeah, that's what quality is. Like, I've had 2 sets of DeWalt drills, and the only I only bought the second set, but not because I had burned out the first set, but because I wanted lithium instead of NiCad or whatever it is. So.
Well, and I have my Hitachi, my set of Hitachi drills. Yeah. I had a super shit Harbor Freight drill up until I got my Hitachis, and I got those like, oh, can't wall jump. That's sad.
Oh shit! Oh what the fuck? Oh damn it! I think I dropped down into the branched path that I didn't want to go to. Oh, I think that's what happened.
Can you backtrack enough to get back?
I'm trying to backtrack. I'm gonna see if I can.
This looks like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. I'm surprised you can backtrack this far through a Mega Man game, though. I didn't actually know you could do that. Oh, no, that's it. Dead
It's
end.
vertical. You can backtrack all
Dead
you want
end.
vertically.
You know what? Let's see if it starts me back at a checkpoint. Yeah, this is. I was here. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I bought those Hitachis like 6 or 7 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was before I had my like revelation, really.
Yeah.
But I just like I did want to have a good quality drill,
Mm-hmm.
and the where I was working at the time had those exact drills that I ended up with, and I worked with them on a daily basis. And I said, this is a really nice drill.
Yeah.
I want this, and so I bought it. But you know, it didn't sink in yet. It hadn't sunk in yet that that there was a reason that I had determined that it was a good drill, and that would maybe carry on to other things in life. And so yeah, like at this point, the only stuff that I don't spend good money on are things that
Wrenches.
are simple, but like, okay, when I buy a mount for the TVs, like I just bought a mount for this TV to mount it on the wall. I didn't go buy an expensive name brand mount because it's such a simple mechanical, you know, structure that I am confident that whatever cheapest thing I can find is going to be able to do the job.
Right.
And it does. It does. Works just fine. Now, I did spend more money on the mount for that TV in there because I care about that TV more.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to buy a mount that I know is going to work and not fall off the wall.
Right.
But this TV I literally got for free.
Right.
And you know, that's actually another funny thing, that this TV in and of itself that we are playing this game on is representative of that disposability problem. Because this TV I found in front of the dumpster at the apartment.
Right.
And the reason this TV was in front of the dumpster is because the power supply was bad in it. And the owner of it, rather than trying to look into any kind of repair options, simply tossed it in front of the dumpster and bought another TV.
Yep.
Well, I happened to be walking down to the dumpster at the right time to catch it. And I said, I don't know what's wrong with that TV, but I bet I can fix it. So I drug it up to my apartment, plugged it in, nothing, no life whatsoever, and I said, this is a bad power supply.
Right.
Pulled the back cover off of it, lo and behold, there was on the power supply a big black spot where something had blown up. Then I said, okay, let me hop on eBay.
Yeah.
$25 later, I had a new power supply on the way.
Here's the thing, though. Like, if I didn't have you for a brother,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, but you could take it to a repair store. There's not TV repair stores anymore.
Okay, I was gonna say,
but there are electronics.
Store?
There are your cell phone and general electronics repair stores will do this kind of work now.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, people think that TVs can't be repaired, but that's not true. Just because there aren't TV repairmen anymore.
Right.
Because TVs are not specialized enough anymore.
Right.
To need a TV repairman.
Right.
Now, it would be nice to have somebody specialized in TVs to do calibrations and stuff like that. That would be nice, but that's just not the world we live in anymore.
Right.
But you don't need a specialized TV repairman to work on an LCD. A general electronics repair company will be capable of doing the work.
Right.
Because even inside of there, the disposability of it has gotten into the inside of the TV too. And like, when something needs to be fixed, the answer is simple. There's one of like 3 boards inside of there that could potentially be bad, and you just replace the one that's bad.
Right.
Right? Now, if you crack the screen, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cost of getting a new screen in there is almost the same as the TV itself.
Right.
Because it's the most expensive and unreasonable part of the TV to ship.
Right.
And they charge a premium for them. So if you crack the panel, it's over, and that's fair. It is fair to call it quits on the TV at that point. But if it's just not turning on, or if you have trouble with certain inputs or whatever, take it to an electronics repair shop. All they need to do is buy and replace a board.
Right. Hey, real quick, I think this is one of the cutest enemies in the Mega Man franchise.
Okay.
And tell me if there's a certain person who lives around here in this house that this enemy reminds you of.
Come
on. not a person?
I don't know.
It just reminds me of Paul. Like he's like, "What's up? What's up, man?"
Isn't he like a monkey?
This is my bot. No, it's just a little like Met type thing that's in that thing instead of instead of hiding in his helmet. Does it remind you of Paul?
I mean, I guess maybe.
He's like in a box, messing around.
It's a barrel. It's a barrel, Jeremy. That's not a box.
Come on, that's a box.
It's a barrel. It's clearly a barrel.
Yeah, it reminds me of Paul.
I think he's supposed to be like a monkey-esque creature in a barrel.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think he just looks like a guy.
Where is this place you're supposed to be in?
This is England.
Weird.
It's a castle. I'm in a castle.
Well, what's... okay, I see what's going on here.
What?
These are like the Buckingham Palace guards.
Yeah.
That's great.
You see that? You see it?
Yeah.
It's a castle. It's England. This is what England is like.
Yeah.
Yep. Buckingham Palace guards walking around. They're all calm until you mess with them, which is not what happens with Buckingham Palace guards.
It's like the exact opposite. They're calm all the time, no matter what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, what else is there to say about disposability? Man, take responsibility for the shit you've got.
Yeah.
Okay? And think, and here's the thing. Take responsibility. Think about the responsibility that you have when you're thinking about acquiring shit.
Right.
Okay? Don't just think about the responsibility you have to the shit that you already have. When you're thinking of acquiring new shit, think about your responsibility and determine whether it's a good idea to buy that shit.
Right.
Because, everything that is just garbage that you end up throwing away is you being a bad person.
Yeah.
Basically. And, again, I say this not as a big ol', bleeding heart environmentalist. This is just a guy who...
Waste is annoying.
It is. It's an annoying aspect of human nature.
Yeah.
That I really wish we could get under control.
Yeah.
Because I think it's our worst quality. And people may disagree. Like maybe war and aggression and stuff is our worst quality, but I think that waste is our worst quality.
We're only 2 generations out from the Great Depression. Those people didn't waste anything. I mean, they didn't spare anything. I mean, some of these older people, not nowadays, but 10 years ago, the older people that are around. I mean, they would make like a pot of beans, and I'm talking about like recently, not back in the Depression. Make a pot of beans, and that's all they ate all week.
Yeah.
Like an old lady would just she'd be like, I can't go out to eat tonight. I've got beans in the fridge, and I got to make sure they don't go bad.
Right.
Like fucking, it's like 8 cents worth of beans that you have left in the fridge. But
and that is way better than me.
Yeah.
I'm not some saint here.
Right.
But that just shows you how far we've slid from that kind of thinking.
Well, it's because that those people didn't teach their kids that, and their kids definitely didn't teach their kids that. And
I don't know that it was about kids not being taught that.
Man, I mean, what is the reason?
I wonder if just the overwhelming prosperity that led after those generations, kind of just nurtured that kind of thinking in general.
But those parents never forgot that. Those people never forgot that.
Sure, they never did, but
old men didn't trust banks. They put their money in mason jars.
Well, right, but the next generation who came into the world during all of that prosperity, I don't think it mattered how they were brought up. Yeah. What their lives ended up being is probably what shaped how they behaved as adults. As far as how they handled their stuff. I mean, you think about like the 1950s and how much just shit was pumped out and sold during the 1950s of convenience shit. Like the 1950s was about convenience. and the generation of people who were coming up in that time didn't know about the Depression. You know, we're not part of the Depression. Their parents were, but they were living in an age of convenifying.
I guess. I just like where did that age come from? You know, it came
from World War II.
Yeah. It
came from post-war, just America being like, look, we're tired of like being responsible.
Right.
We've had a rough time of it this century. We just want to have convenience and easy living.
You know that James Cash Penney, J.C. Penney, who founded, J.C. Penney.
What? No way.
He said debt is a folly, I think is what he said. Like one of his J.C. Penneyisms.
Okay.
And that, his company didn't detested debt or whatever. And J.C. Penney a few years ago was one of the biggest store credit card brands that you could possibly have. Like one of the most highly or aggressively marketed store credit card brands. I mean, that tells you how far we've come as a culture when the founder of the company thought that debt was like, the death sentence, basically.
Right.
Like, if you get yourself in debt, you're just screwed. And now, 100 years later or 80 years later, whatever it is, it's...
That is their business, is debt.
As Dave Ramsey says, they're a credit company with some stuff out front.
Right.
That's that really is what they are. They make a good portion, if not most of their money on credit. Because store credit brands, all the interest goes to the store. Like, it's not a Visa card. It's just a fucking store credit card.
Right.
I don't know why I'm farming for an E-Tank. I've got 6 of them. I don't want that, though. There we go.
Yeah.
Our great-great-grandparents thought that debt was a sin.
Right.
And then, our great-grandparents maybe used a home mortgage. Maybe. Never bought a car on debt, and never, credit cards weren't even a thing. Our grandparents, think about our grandparents. I bet you Memon Holland didn't ever have a credit card, or if she did, she paid it off every week, every month, every time she spent money on it. But I wonder, Grandma and Grandpa Moore, I don't know. I know their situation's not that good, and they have 2 retirements from 2 different companies and Social Security, and they struggle for money.
Right.
So they've got to have just too much debt.
Yeah.
I know they go buy a new car every few years.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
Grandma always has a brand new Honda Accord.
No. She hasn't had a Honda Accord in a long time.
What does she have now?
She has a Ford Explorer.
Oh, she has an
Escape or something. Yeah. Grandma's. She's had this.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to her cars. Yeah, I know she drove Accords for years. And
she's gone with those like crossover SUV.
I just gotta wonder, like, what does a 65 to 70-year-old woman need with a brand new car every 2 years? She only drives it to church.
Well, I don't know, man. And that doesn't seem like a great plan.
That, and the fact that Grandpa gets new trucks all the time, like, that's proof positive that they have rejected everything from their parents.
Well, Grandpa actually, I don't think is a real problem. He went through a little stint of getting new trucks.
Yeah.
But he's had the same truck for like probably 6 or 7 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like a King's Ranch F-150 though, right? Isn't it like a
No, it's not. It's not super high end.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just kind of like it's probably like a mid trim F-150. Okay. And when he bought it, it was used.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well then wow. To say that Grandpa is not the problem is...
Well, I mean, Grandpa has always been the one that didn't get the new vehicles. Right. I mean, think about it. Before he got the...
He did have that old Laredo F-150, not Laredo, but
Lariat.
Lariat.
That 89 Lariat.
Yeah. But dude, it was new when he got it, and it was an Eddie Bauer edition. So
yeah, yeah. I mean,
it
sure.
wasn't like a cheap vehicle, but he had it.
He had it for like 10 or 12 years.
Right.
And then what happened is he got an F-150, and then like 2 years later he traded it for another F-150.
Right.
But he's had that same one he traded it for ever since then. So.
Right.
You know, and he said, you know, in previous conversations I've had with him, oh yeah, I don't plan to ever get another truck. I just hope that one keeps holding up. And then of course he had the Dakota, but he bought that for like $300.
Right, right.
So that's not really a problem.
That wasn't your Dakota, was it?
No.
He just got it. He just got a different. It was a green Dakota of the same era, right?
Yeah. His was a year newer than mine.
Oh, okay.
And well, I think he still has it. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he still has it.
I think I saw it.
But it's a year newer than mine, and automatic transmission. So pretty fancy.
Wow.
In that way.
Seriously fancy.
Yeah, my first truck was a '97 Dodge Dakota.
Yeah.
And manual transmission. Pretty awesome.
Very awesome.
And
I
made the horrible mistake of trading it in when I should have just kept it.
Yeah.
Because they gave me like $600 for it.
Yeah.
And that was a ripoff.
Yeah.
So that truck was worth probably $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could have sold it for $2,000. Just private party.
Right.
But at the time, I was like, well, what am I going to do with 2 trucks?
Yeah.
And then I realized later on, I could have just let it sit in the driveway.
Right.
That's something I could have done with it.
Now, besides like graduation and mom and dad like giving you some front money for it, what was the reason for getting a new truck anyway?
Mom and dad didn't give me front money for it.
Oh, I thought they gave you money toward the down payment or something.
No, not at all. I paid for that entire truck myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then why did you get a new truck?
Because the Dakota had some weird issues, and well, the Dakota had some weird issues, and it had like 170,000 miles on it, and it had transmission problems that were not significant, but they were disconcerting.
Right.
Because transmission work is expensive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if it did need to be worked on at some point in the future, it was going to be expensive.
Right.
And I just like I wanted a full-size truck. I wanted a full-size truck with a full-size bed. Mm-hmm. That was important to me at the time, and still is. I mean, I honestly regret getting the extra long wheelbase, the long wheelbase version, because I have the 6.5 foot bed on my truck, and I would rather have the 8 foot bed. I know they look ridiculous and they're hard to fit anywhere, but I would rather have the 8 foot bed.
They do look ridiculous.
They look retarded. I mean, they're stupid looking. But
I hate long wheelbase trucks.
But I wish I had the long wheelbase because.
For what reason? You don't even haul much.
Because you can fit entire sheets of 4x8, whatever you need.
Oh, okay.
In there,
right.
And that's a real pain to deal with. You know, when you go buy sheet goods of you know, plywood or whatever, and they don't fit. Right. You got to strap them down. It's annoying. So I wish that I had the 8 foot bed. Yeah. Also, you can't put a mattress in there in a 6.5 foot bed without having to like prop it sideways, and so every time I move, it's a pain. Right. And you know, I could have gotten a long wheelbase truck. I mean, they had some on the lot, but the ones they had didn't have air conditioning, and I was like, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. So do you prefer air conditioning? Or
yes, I prefer air conditioning, but I have a feeling that there was probably one on. I don't remember exactly, but I have a feeling there's probably one on the lot for like $1,000 extra that had air conditioning and long wheelbase, and I probably should have bought that one. But
shit,
at the time I was thinking, why I wanna get the cheapest truck I can get, you know, on the lot here, because you know, at the time I was 17 years old and I hadn't had my Renaissance.
about the quality over quantity.
Yeah, and I think I made the right decision getting, like, just in the circumstances. I think I made the right decision getting a newer truck.
Yeah.
Because the Dakota's problems could have become very expensive very quickly.
Right.
And you know, I've had that truck for 10 years and I've never had any real problems with it.
Right.
You know, the biggest problem I've ever had with it is that the alternator went out last month, and I replaced it, and that was not a big deal.
Right.
So, you know, I think it was a worthwhile investment long term. I mean, no car is really a worthwhile investment, but buying it new,
right,
like the circumstances were totally.
It was worth it.
Totally justified it, because in 2008 when I bought the truck, new trucks were less money than used trucks of the same spec.
Yeah.
So it was like I paid $12,000 for that truck.
Yeah.
Brand new. So, you know, you can't beat that. That was a like
that's actually a really good deal.
That was a $20,000 truck. I mean, it was a base model truck.
Right.
I mean, absolutely base model truck. But a base model F-150 at the time was like $20,000. Now,
that's outrageous. I don't understand why they were selling that, because it was the year end and they were.
It was the year end and
style?
It was 2008. You got to think, 2008 is in the absolute deepest pit of the automotive crash.
Right.
They could not move trucks.
Yeah.
They were trying to move them.
Yeah.
And basically what happened, it wasn't the dealer. It was Ford.
Yeah.
Ford was getting an $8,000 rebate on those purchases. So that's where that's how it got down to. I mean, it was a I think the sticker on my truck was like $18,900.
Right.
And they had an $8,000 rebate that they just slapped right on there, and then they like cut, you know, $1,000 off from the dealer, like worked it down by $1,000, so it ended up at like $11,900.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just the situation. Ford was not moving; they couldn't move trucks off of lots, so they were just like giving crazy manufacturer rebates so that they could at least get them off the lot.
Right.
And then they had the new body style coming in, so it was like a perfect storm.
Right.
And yeah, so I don't think I made the wrong decision there. It's just, you know, it was. I wish I had bought a long wheelbase. I don't know what that has to do with anything that we've been talking about so far. I feel like we got off track somewhere. But
it seemed like there was something I was going to say going back to our topic, but
we were talking about Grandpa's trucks. In my truck, and then you asked me why I traded.
And then we were talking about generations. That's what we were talking about. So the generation of, you know, I mean, and it's only getting progressively worse. The generations of debt and of wastefulness and, you know, wastefulness and debt go together. I mean, the more you finance, the more it's like, out of sight, out of mind. You know, you pay your little payment, and you know, once your payment's paid off, well, then you got to go get you have to have a payment, right?
Right.
So if you pay off a car, then
you got to now opens up the opportunity. Well, you're like, I'm used to having a payment,
right?
So now, like the thought of replacing the old payment that's now gone with a new payment. Well, that doesn't seem so bad because it's what I'm used to.
Right.
And I can get a new car.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, if you bought that car, paid cash for it like I did with my last car, I'm going to hold on to that car until I can't drive it anymore, because I'm invested in it for one. And why would I want a car payment when I don't have one now?
Yeah. And I took out...
like you.
I mean, I took out a loan. I took out a loan for the Volt. But only for half of it,
right?
Because the circumstances at the time, it made more sense to me to pay the half of the total price of the car up front, and then put the other half of the money that I did have at the time into paying off some other debt that I had. Yes, I do have debt. Like I said before, I'm not a perfect example of this. I have some debt. I have some debt that has been built up over a few different things. Part of which was the cryptocurrency investment that we made before, although all that's paid off. But here's the thing. I was focusing so hard on paying that off throughout the whole entire year last year that other debt that I already have got neglected.
Right.
And so, you know, now I've paid that off, so I don't have any debt aside from the car payment. But see, the thing is, the car payment, I think the interest I got on that loan was like 4% or something.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a lot lower than the credit card interest that I had on the debt that I had there. So
So are you completely like credit card debt free now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, no, not completely, because there are some. There are still a couple of 24-month no interest installment things from the cryptocurrency thing that I am still on, and I haven't paid off because they're interest-free installments.
Okay.
So I looked at it and said, well, there's no point. There's no point in paying off something that I'm paying no interest on whenever I've got things that do have interest that I need to pay off first.
Sure.
So that's the only reason that I still have that debt. But it's like $1,500 worth of debt total, and it's gonna be paid off in like 14 months or something,
right?
And it's gonna have no interest throughout that entire time. So, like, that's debt that I think is worth carrying if there was like a good reason for getting it, and the reason for getting it, I think, was good.
Right. So, can I talk a little bit about the epiphany I had recently? The epiphany.
Sure.
My epiphany.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if you want to.
So I mean, I mean, it goes a little bit along with the conversation we're having.
I think anything goes, man. We can get off onto tangentially related, you know, topics for sure, because this is all about.
Okay.
I mean, I really just wanted to talk about kind of like personal responsibility is the main thing that I want to drive home from this conversation.
My epiphany is going to be right on the money.
Okay.
So I realized that I'm living my life completely wrong. Just totally, fundamentally living my life completely wrong.
Okay.
And I've told you some of this and some of it I haven't. But so for anybody who is watching, if anybody's watching and doesn't know, so I own several rental properties. And they are just stressing me out to the point where I'm just stressed out all the time. But alongside that, it's like I had just like this whole life-changing moment all at once. It's not just the rental properties that is stressing me out. Like, yes, I make some money on them, and yes, they're an investment, and yes, they, you know, over time, they would be like, I would get a good return on them. But it's also just like everything about my life is so cluttered. And, you know, my job is stressing me out because it's so up in the air all the time. The rental properties are stressing me out because they're so variable all the time, whether I actually make money this month or lose money this month or whatever.
Right.
And then I just kind of started looking at everything in my life. And so getting to the point of the topic is, you know, with the waste. I realize how much of my time I waste doing stupid shit like watching TV. Like watching YouTube videos. I watch so many YouTube videos. Like that's my primary mode of entertainment. So the other day...
Hey, it's probably true for anybody watching too.
Right. So
or Twitch streams.
Right. So the other day I don't remember how to beat this guy. The other day, I unplugged my TV. I put the cord to the TV in my trunk. I put the remote from the TV, which is the only way to turn it on, by the way. There is no on and off switch on the TV.
Oh man, freaking TCLs! I tell you what.
You know
that's almost the way that every TV is going.
I put the remote in a cabinet in the bathroom. I put the TV itself in my closet. I don't have a TV anymore. And in order to watch TV, I would have to put those three pieces back together.
Okay.
Which is not that big of a deal, but it reminds me, I'm not going to watch TV right now. And I told the kids about it. They're totally on board. They were like, yeah, let's do more fun stuff together. And I was like, yes, let's do that.
Right.
I realized, like, we waste so much time doing things that don't add any value to our life at all.
Right.
And so I put the TV away, and tonight, like, stream night is like my night to splurge. You know, drinking some beer, playing some video games, hanging out. But I'm not buying alcohol for the house anymore.
Okay.
Because I waste too much time just drinking beer and watching TV. Those are the two biggest time wasters for me. And if I get rid of the beer and the TV, how much more productive could I be?
Right.
Like, how much better could I wake up in the morning if I didn't stay up till 1 o'clock watching just not even like cool stuff, just whatever random shit is recommended in my YouTube feed.
Right.
That's, you know.
Just whatever popped up in the feed. It's like,
right.
Oh, well, that's
and
mildly...
And I spend hours.
Mm-hmm.
I have spent hours watching it. And
I go down that rabbit hole from time to time,
mm-hmm.
but you know how I consume YouTube. Most of the time,
listening.
I'm on the road or I'm at a job working and am listening to YouTube rather than watching it. So, to me, I don't think it's probably not as big of a problem as far as wasting my time as it is for you. But I do watch YouTube when I get home too, just not as much.
Right, and so I sorry, I'm looking up some strats here. Right, duo, trying to stand on that, flame blast, bottom rail, shoot at floor, trying to shoot right to plant there. Alright.
Yeah,
anyway, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I'm just looking at the video on here and seeing the pixels are still inconsistent widths. And I thought I'd fix that, but whatever. I'll work on it later.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore. We're done with NES games.
Right, true.
NES games are the only ones that have this problem. It's because the NES, fun fact, pixels are not square. The pixels on an NES are rectangular.
Okay.
So most emulators just go ahead and make them squares because it's easier to deal with. And then things like horizontal bars have inconsistent widths.
Okay. Okay.
So if you pause the game and look at the different bars,
right,
you'll notice that the actual little ticks on the bars are different widths. They're not all the same thickness.
Oh, right.
Because the NES doesn't actually have a specifically defined thickness, so whenever they do square pixels and then scale it up, it ends up coming out inconsistently.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you can get it fixed and tuned up just right. Clearly, I have not.
Right. Yeah, well, whatever.
I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. Anyway, that's beside the point. What were we talking about? We were talking about YouTube and wasting time. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So my epiphany. That's what I had an epiphany, and it really was. It wasn't just like I think I could live my life better. Like, I fucking am wasting my life, and you know, with things like these rental properties that are just, they're not making me enough money for the stress that I'm going through.
Right. With
this job that is an amazing job, an amazing opportunity, but so inconsistent that some months I make ridiculous sums of money and some months I make no money. And it's just like, I don't need that stress in my life. I'm wasting my life with stress and things that don't even matter that much. And after I did that, you know, it's only been a few days ago, but I went out and I had like the best time with my kids. Just we didn't watch any TV. The kids didn't play any video games. Like, we just went out and had a full-on family day, and it was awesome. And they were happy, and I was happy, and we had a great time. And you know, just the idea of getting rid of the rental properties like is already giving me so much relief. And the idea of like not wasting my evenings and not staying up till all hours of the night just because I don't want to go to bed because I'm, you know, just wasting time watching YouTube. Like, I just already feel better. And I don't, you know, obviously, like, I can't say that this is my new life and this is the way I'm going to live it forever. Like, that would be making claims that I don't know 100% are true. But
I mean, you probably won't even need to. There's probably going to come a time where where you have gotten yourself out of these bad habits to the point that you can have your TV hooked up and not need to turn it on.
But the thing is, like, if I have beer in the house, I'm gonna drink it. I'm gonna drink the beer.
Yeah,
like,
see, and that's a fundamental difference between you and me.
Right. Well,
so I have beer in the house. It's just gonna stay there until the occasion comes to drink.
That's not me, because I grew up being my dad's son, and my dad drinks a 30-pack every other day. Like that's just. So I wouldn't say that I would go so far as say it like I have an alcohol problem. But if there's alcohol in the house and you're gonna drink fairly sober, like I'm just gonna drink it because it's there.
Well, and the thing is, like, you know, I only drink whenever I have a specific craving for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super rare. But like whenever we had those leftover sour monkeys a couple weeks ago, I drank those.
Well, yeah, because that's
I drank those because I was like, because the day after I was like, you know what I could really go for right now? One of those sour monkeys. Right. So I did. But when we're done here and I've got those extra sour monkeys in the fridge, I'm gonna drink those throughout this week. but it's like, you know, it's never a default for me to just drink beer if I have it. I mean, those Sam Adams have been in there for a couple of weeks and I haven't drank the rest of those.
Right.
So yeah, there's just that's just the difference between you and me of a particular vice, I suppose. Right. Because I've got my own vices, you know, for sure. One of them is just like kind of just like wasting time, just like doing nothing at all, just kind of like walking around the house and talking to myself, about whatever I'm thinking about at the time. Right. And I guess, you know, you need that time to like think and process things, but a lot of times it's just stupid bullshit that I'm thinking about. And I spend a lot of time just kind of like not doing tasks. Like I have this issue where I will know that there's a task I need to complete, and then I'll acquire the supplies needed to complete the task, and then I'll just spend a lot of time just kind of not doing it. Right. You know, like the work I've been doing in here. I mean, it's taken forever to get it to the point that it's at, and it's at a pretty good point here. But like, there would be days where I'd be like, get some wrenches so that I could do some work, and I'd just kind of like be in here with the wrenches, but not be doing any wrenching. Yeah. And it's like,
I mean, I've been there before too. I've done this.
That's one of my biggest problems. Is just the like almost getting to where I actually do something and then not doing it.
Does Aaron Hansen like this game? Does Aaron Hansen like this game?
I don't know.
Because check this out. Oh no, I'm trapped down here. But look, I can get out.
Wow, that's like teaching you how to play.
Oh no, I fell down here where there's some spikes and I can't get out.
Oh snap! Yeah. That's teaching you how to play the game. Yeah. Oh crap! I bet he would like the game. He may not be aware. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that he only likes Mega Man X.
Yep.
It's the only Mega Man for him.
Well, I mean, he mentions Mega Man and Mega Man X.
He does. Yeah, but Mega Man games suck, though. There's one thing that we demonstrated.
Game is fun.
And the entire time we played them, it's just that Mega Man X is so much better than Mega Man that it's like...
You're right about that. Mega Man, well...
You probably shouldn't go back and try.
Mega Man X is more fun all around, but these games are still good.
Yeah.
I still call these good games. Between this and Mario 1, way better. This and Mario 2, better. I would say better. Mario 3, nah.
Yeah, Mario 3, they had really arrived at the solution there by that point.
Yep.
But let's see. So
I'm kind of not quite finished with what I was talking about, but
go ahead.
So I decided to make these changes, and I don't know if you've heard of this book. You may have, because it was a Defender's recommended read, and I think we had it around the office at one point. We never got around to reading it as an office, but
what got you here won't get you there.
No, it's called One Word That Will Change Your Life. And it's a book I've had forever, and I've never read it. Well, the book is 90 pages long, and most of it is kind of filler, so you kind of get to the heart of it in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And basically...
I mean, it's just one word, so
it's just the same word repeated over and over, really. No, it's your own word. It's whatever word you take your goal for the year and you condense it down to one word. You take like what is going to affect you the most in 1 year, and you condense it down to one word. And it's actually a really effective like tool that a lot of companies use. I just didn't get around to it when the company wanted me to. But I read the book and it was pretty good. I'm it took me about 30 minutes to read through the book.
Okay.
And I chose my word, and my word this year is clean. I'm gonna clean up my life. I'm gonna clean up all the time wasters. I'm gonna clean up all the things that are poisoning my life, basically. The stress of the rental properties. Get myself a steady paycheck rather than something that could potentially be a lot of money, but doesn't pan out to be that a lot of the time. Clean up, just drinking beer just for the heck of it.
Right.
Clean up, watching YouTube videos just because I don't want to do anything else. Like, there's a lot of things I could clean up in my life, and especially when my kids are around, clean up. I don't drink a lot when the kids. It's not about alcohol when the kids are around. It's about just like being so lazy of a dad just to like sit and watch TV with my kids,
Right.
instead of like go like to the park or like to a museum or something, like something that we could do together as a family. We usually end up like, the main like family thing we do together is like build some Lego blocks in the floor and then watch TV for a while.
Right.
And there's just so much more we could be doing.
Yeah, no, I see that. Like, what's something interesting about that I've thought, and hopefully I don't step on any toes here when talking about this, but I always thought it was odd. Like, you go over to mom's, right? Mm-hmm. And then you and the kids would show up, right?
Yeah.
At some point, whenever you felt like it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just no, that's not the point at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the default thing that happens is that the TV gets turned on to some like weird Russian thing. Like,
well, yeah, that's
weird
because
weird
that's
ass
what the kids
Russian
find
cartoon.
on Netflix.
But my point is that the the point is that the default thing is that the TV comes on,
right.
And that's how the kids are entertained. And I think back to my childhood, and that was never the case.
Right.
The default entertainment method, like the default thing for us to do as kids was to turn on the TV.
Right.
That just wasn't the case. And I found it weird, because I think, like, and this may have just been, like, not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to call you out as a parent, or mom as a grandparent,
Right.
It's just, like, it's a strange reality to me, thinking about what my childhood was like, that you would go over to grandma's, and the default thing that you would do is watch TV.
Well, I mean, I gotta say one thing to that, and that is that the kids are largely ignored when the five of us are together.
Well, yeah,
but me and you have our thing. Jordan is there. We got our thing together. Mom and dad will be discussing this or that, or smoking a cigarette on the balcony. Like,
that's true, but here's the thing: we were also completely ignored anytime going over to grandma's or anything like that. But you know what we had? We had a pile of toys to play with back in the playroom. And we had our creativity, and we had a backyard to go out to, which that's something you just can't help. You can't help that. You can't help that. But that's the situation Mom has decided to be in.
Right.
But and so I'm not faulting the kids for that. But I'm just saying it's just strange that we made our own fun,
right?
Because we were just as ignored, because the adults didn't want to have anything to do with us.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, like, I haven't put a lot of like restraints on television and video games like our parents did. But to my kids' credit, they do spend a lot of time in their room playing games. And
and that's fine.
And I'm just saying, like, what I do with them as a parent is not right. Like, what I do with them as a parent is to watch TV with them, or just hang out. Like, I might play Legos with Truett for a little while or whatever, but I don't have a yard. I don't have a garage. I can't do the things I want to do.
And we talked about that before, that you know what you need to do there, because that's just not a great environment for your kids.
Right.
because you know, freaking apartments. It's not.
Right.
Nobody should live that way.
You
I mean, you should live that.
Have
I
to
mean,
raise kids in an
I
apartment.
mean, you should live that way when you're in your 20s because that's probably the most practical way you can live. But once
Right.
you start having kids, I mean, you should probably have the other aspects of your life together.
Yes.
You know, like not probably. You definitely should have everything else in your life sorted out to where that you can have those things
Right.
for raising kids because it's not a good environment to raise kids in.
Right. And again, just to explain to anybody who is not privy to our life, we had a pretty tough move, and then I went through a divorce, so I'm in a crappy apartment right now, and my credit took a dump, so I'm just.
I mean, that hasn't been
I'm
historically
scraping.
your situation.
No,
but it is your current situation.
I have
so
owned 2 houses. Well, no, I've owned 17 houses in my life.
Right.
I've lived in 2 houses that I've owned over the years. I'm just in a shitty situation right now.
Know that I am not calling Jeremy out at all in this. Jeremy had his life together, and then other factors had other things to say about that, and that's what's landed him in this current situation.
Yeah.
But other people, I'm calling you out. You who is watching, who doesn't have your life together and has 6 kids.
Right.
You know, that's who I'm calling out. I don't have piles of kids running around. And part of the reason for that is because I did not have my life in a place where I felt comfortable pursuing that kind of thing. Up until recently.
You want a different type of thing to do? What almost 10.
I will have a Who Garden actually.
Okay. What is that? What is the strength on that thing? 4.9.
It's not bad.
Okay. I'm gonna do that because.
Do you like Blue Moon? Because this is kind of like Blue Moon, only good.
I know Who Garden. I get this and Weichspawner mixed up because they're both weird.
Yeah, they're totally different
names. So. I know I like this.
Different style.
Yeah.
I haven't had a Who Garden in a while.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so, you know, I have not pursued any relationships that might lead to that sort of thing. Kids and whatnot. Because I haven't felt like I've been in the position where I had my life together enough to even want to try to pursue that sort of thing. Now, I kind of feel like I'm getting to that place, so I probably am going to start pursuing that.
Right.
But up until this point, I have felt like I live in an apartment. Like I only have 1 car. Like what am I? I only have 1 vehicle.
I only have 1 because you have to have more than 1 vehicle to pursue a relationship.
Well, no,
that may
but
result in kids.
But
someday.
here's the thing, though. The thing is that my truck is not a presentable vehicle to have for general purpose use. My truck is good for doing work. And I'm glad that I have it. And it was definitely the right vehicle for me to have through my teenage years and my early 20s. But now I need to have something that's more than that.
Right.
And I've got it.
Yeah.
And I've got it. And that is actually a factor in my thinking of thinking, you know what, maybe it's about time that I starting to pursue a relationship that could actually have a future, you know?
Right.
Because I feel like I've in a lot of ways, gotten aspects of my life organized to the point where I would feel comfortable going in that direction.
Yeah.
I think I'm mature enough at this point to start going that direction, whereas I don't think I was before.
Yeah.
And I think I've made a lot of important decisions, you know, in how I'm going to handle my life.
Yeah.
I have a good idea of what my future is going to be. And that's important.
Right.
You should have that before you start having kids.
you got a sucky ass job, but it pays well and it's consistent.
And it's going to keep on paying well as long as I can stand being there.
Yeah. You've got a decent vehicle. You live in a house now. You know, albeit with your sister.
Right. 2 decent vehicles.
Oh yeah, with your sister, but still.
Well, sure, but she's just paying half of the rent.
Yeah.
You know, I could pay all of it myself if I wanted to, but I would prefer to pay half of it.
Right.
In the meantime, and help further my cause.
Right.
And that's really the main thing. Like, I will be completely debt free, including the car. Mark my words. Give me 3 months, and I will be completely debt free.
That's awesome.
And
I believe
that's
it, because you're making a lot of progress toward it, and that's
and
awesome.
once I'm completely debt free, then it's just going to be. I mean, my savings and assets are going to increase rapidly because debt has been what's holding me down for years. And you know, up until recently,
I didn't really know you really struggled with a debt problem.
It wasn't really a debt. It's not. Well, I don't know. What would you consider a debt problem? Because here's where I've been at.
I mean, debt sucks all around.
Well, let me tell you where I've been at. I've been at holding a few $1,000s worth of debt at any given time, always.
Yeah. Right.
Never massive quantities of debt, but just never being able to get from out from under being behind.
Right.
Because, and it all pretty much started when I moved, like shortly before I moved here.
Right.
Because that move was expensive. And that created debt, and then the job I had after that, and I mean, to my own detriment, the lifestyle I wanted to lead, you know, being able to buy things whenever I wanted to buy them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, all the Super Nintendos that I've got. No, I mean, that sort of thing, though.
Yeah.
Which I justified to myself as, well, you know, I'll fix these up and I'll make money someday.
Right.
And that's not necessarily not true.
Well,
it's just that justification
that you've been talking about making that a side business. So.
Yeah. But it's just like that justification is what drove a lot of my decisions.
Right.
And it didn't pan out most of the time because, you know, like they were just pipe dreams.
Right.
But like I do like deeply feel that it is my responsibility to repair Super Nintendos, and that is something that comes down, like that's part of that the original topic, you know, of not throwing things away, not trashing things that could be saved. You know, hey, if you got a broken Super Nintendo, send it my way. I'll repair it. I am a Super Nintendo repairman, so let me know. Like,
right.
I'm your guy. If you need a Super Nintendo fix, trust me, I've got the parts to do it. I can do it. But like the point is that, you know, I spent the last 4 years, I'd say, behind the curve just a little bit.
Right.
And you know, not ever being able to fully pay that debt off. And then therefore not really being able to save much money has been a consistent problem for several years.
Right.
And you know, now I'm in a position where I would be able to save money if I, you know, didn't have all the new debt that I spent the last year paying off from the cryptocurrency, you know, mining investment. But I mean, that has paid. I mean, that all paid for itself.
Right.
It's just that the way that I ended up using the profits from that, you know, I've held on to the cryptocurrency itself, and the profits from selling the equipment paid for half of my car and paid off most of the remainder of my debt. But, you know, I still have the debt from the other half of the car.
Right.
And, you know, the little bit of straggling debt that I do have elsewhere. But I don't know where I was going with all this, but what I'm saying is that I think I'm starting to get into a position where I feel like that I actually do have control of my life. And once you get into that kind of position, it gets a lot easier to think about what your future is going to be and plan for things like having kids and like, well, I mean, you know, like dating.
Right.
But here's the thing, though. Here's
Dating,
the thing.
getting married.
Part of my avoidance of dating was just that I wanted to do my own thing and didn't want to be strapped down to another person.
Yeah.
But a major part of it was that I didn't want to get into something that was going to end up becoming serious.
Right.
Because then, if I'm not prepared for it, it would still happen.
Right.
You know? And that's, I think, the trap that most people fall into is that they want to date because they want to date. Right? They want to date because they want to have somebody in their life. Right? So it's like the loneliness is what drives the decision, not like practicality.
Right.
And so people get themselves into a relationship that gets serious, but they're not ready for the consequences of it. But you know, once you're in there, you're in there. It's already happening.
Real quick, check out this awesome enemy/level design here. Look at these guys. I just always thought it looked kind of ridiculous that they put them on platform. Like, put a different enemy there. Put them on platforms that
don't fit.
That don't fit the enemy.
Yeah. No, it is.
Okay.
It's a little silly.
All right. So yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. And
I mean, I was there. I went through that. I did.
Yeah.
I did that life.
You did the whole
and
dating because you want to be with somebody thing.
Yeah. And then I got married, and then I got divorced, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Because it got me out of that situation more quickly than otherwise I would have.
Can you imagine if you had been stuck in that marriage?
If I'd... Well, this is the thing that truly... The horrifying thought that you know, shakes me to this day when I think about it, is what if we had had kids?
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a nightmare. And it could have happened.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't, thank God. Like,
were you like already talking about kids?
Yeah, like we had well, not we had talked about an idea of having kids like within a couple of years.
Yeah,
that was the situation. Is that neither of us wanted kids right away because we wanted to like do stuff.
Right.
Still, but didn't want to get tied down to that kind of responsibility. Great, that was good on me and her both for thinking that way. Because it helped us to avoid that situation. But it still could have happened.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There were situations that could have made that happen really easily.
That's dumb, Caleb. That's just dumb.
There was some potential foolishness that happened there.
We have never almost accidentally... Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, it could have happened under certain circumstances. I mean, you know... You don't always think responsibly whenever you're thinking, you know, from you know below your you know head.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank God none of that happened.
Can I just make a real quick, like throw it out to a real quick tangent here?
Sure.
People having accidental children, I've always thought that was the dumbest thing in the world because there are so many things you can do that don't result in a child.
Sure, but...
And I don't mean just protected, you know, sex. I mean, like, not actually doing it, but doing other things instead. Like, there's... Like,
right, but that's not fun, though.
It can be.
It's not as fun, though.
If you do it right. Anyway, so back to where you were going with the topic.
But anyway, yeah, I kind of just lucked out of that situation because, you know... Yeah, trust me, I lucked out of that situation. But then that gave the years since then. You know, I haven't pursued anything with anyone because, well, partly because you know, whenever you get married and you get divorced, there's, I mean, I don't know, it's probably not the same for everybody. There's a period of mourning where you just kind of like don't want to pursue anything with anyone.
I went through a really weird period of mourning. More so like a justification period. Yeah.
Well, I went through a really extraordinarily long and protracted period of mourning where I just didn't understand the world. And then went through a bit of a spiritual like renaissance. And then, you know, got some weird ideas about spirituality, which was cool, and I still have those ideas, so that's cool.
Because of your divorce.
Yeah, my divorce. Well, no, not because of my divorce, but my divorce spurred me to ask questions that I hadn't asked before, and I got to an interesting place where I feel very comfortable. That was pretty awesome. Was that a safety death?
No, that was an 8-bit do-death.
Bummer.
I'm going to 100% blame that on the controller. Bummer. Because again, I'm still having up-down issues with.
Well, yeah, I did not fix that D-pad yet.
Yeah.
Or well, actually, you know what? I don't know if there is a solution, but I didn't implement the one thing I was on review.
If this is the best that it gets, it's pretty darn good.
Well, but yeah, I would just like it to be perfect. It would be nice if it was perfect.
I'm no speedrunner. I'm no expert gamer. This is good enough for me, you know.
Right.
Like Mega Man X2 would be a lot more fun and on a better controller, but...
Oh, okay. You know what? I want to return to this conversation we were having.
Yeah.
But I have to make a little aside here about Mega Man. I was playing X4 the other day.
Yeah.
And I realized that Mega Man X4 is the worst game ever.
No, it's not. What are you talking about? I love that game.
Well, what happened was, I was playing it on the 8-bit do.
Yeah?
Rather than
You were playing on a SNES controller?
Yeah,
That's actually kind of cool. I'd like to do that.
Yeah. So I was playing on the 8-bit Do instead of a PlayStation controller, and I had a startling realization.
Yeah?
That the triangle button shoots also, as well as the square button.
Right. Why is that a bad thing?
That is an incredibly bad thing for me, because whenever I'm holding a charge shot and I try to do a dash jump, I always hit that triangle button. And when you hit the button, it fires your charge shot.
Well, just don't do that.
But it's a scenario that I find myself in all the time. And my gigantic elephant fingers...
Do you do, like, claw grip it or something?
No. I'm doing the normal grip. Whenever I roll my thumb back, when I roll my thumb over to hit
You hit the X button? Or the triangle button? Whatever it is?
Yeah. Not on the PlayStation controller.
Okay, I was going to say, why does this not happen on the PlayStation controller?
Because the PlayStation controller spacing is different. The PlayStation controller is much more
So you're talking about playing X4 with Mega Man?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just don't do that.
I mean, I don't normally, but I mean, I was playing X4 with Mega Man the other day, just because.
Right.
You know, just cause. I thought it would be fun to play it on that controller.
Yeah.
And then, when I was playing it on that controller, it was not fun, and I was like, what is going on here?
Right.
And I realized that that was the problem.
Wow.
Because I thought that the controller was dropping...
what's
inputs,
awesome
and I was like, what is going on?
X4 and X5, I'm not sure about X6, I think it's the same. But X4, X5, and 8, Mega Man 8, when you are holding, when you're holding a weapon, when you've got a weapon out, you can still fire your X-Buster while you have the weapon out.
Oh, so that's the purpose of it?
The X button is just the X-Buster all the time.
Right.
And then the Y button, or I'm saying it from...
The triangle
button
versus the square button.
The X button is the X-Buster all the time, whereas the square button is the weapon that you've got out.
Right. Okay, see, that's cool, except that the problem is that if you've got a charge shot charged, and you hit triangle on accident, while trying to do a dash, then it fires your charge shot.
I don't know that most people do that. I mean,
do like, what?
Is that a...
Hit the button?
What the fuck did I just do? Oh,
you did a reset.
Oh shit. Okay, sweet. Wow. That I reset at the same time I save stated. If I had been like 1 second off or like a frame off on the order that I did that.
I think like select and up is reset or something like that. Okay. So if you it was probably 8-bit do missed up input. But
my scheme for world domination has failed. F-I-A-L-D.
Oh, thank you, Capcom.
Failed. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, so we still have a conversation going, but now we're talking about the controller and Mega Man X4. So. So we've got the gist of the Mega Man X4 story, or
the spacing is different on a DualShock. That's really all it comes down to, and I can play it with no issues on an actual PlayStation controller, but on the SNES controller I can't because the freaking button push button accident button push. It's a real problem. Turns out I've been smacking that X button all the time while playing Mega Man X, but it doesn't matter on X1, 2, or 3 because it doesn't do anything.
Right.
And then on a real PlayStation controller, it doesn't matter because the spacing's different and it's easier to not do it.
So a DualShock actually, or a PlayStation controller actually isn't. That's weird because I've never noticed like a severe difference in the spacing.
I measured it with the calipers because I was just like, what's going on here?
Right.
And I'm like, why do I not have this problem on a PlayStation controller? Because I didn't even know that triangle fired the Buster also. I didn't know this. This was new information.
Well, you only played X4 originally on the
Saturn.
So now there was another button. I mean, there still was a button scheme for the X Buster on 2 buttons, but
it's just that it was weird. The Saturn layout was different.
Right.
But look, the important thing is that I didn't know that it was a problem.
Yeah.
Because I have played X4 on a PlayStation controller many times. Didn't know. Didn't know. Didn't even know it existed.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. Now that you explain
It is cool.
what it's
like, it actually
now
really
that you
is a
explain what
cool
it's there
concept.
for, it's actually really cool, and I can see it being extremely practical.
If you don't want to waste all of a weapon that you've got out, or you're fighting a boss, and you know, a particularly difficult boss, and you want to alternate between charged shots and maybe your weapon of choice.
Right.
It is really cool.
And it's surprising, honestly, that they didn't implement something like that earlier, because they had the X button on the SNES controller.
They could have done that so long ago, but they just didn't. I think it's just like they just didn't think about it. Like because they're so used to like having to switch from and to the X button.
Well, right, because classic Mega Man was probably in their brain the whole time, and as they were innovating with Mega Man X, there was only a certain distance they could go mentally, you know. They had already introduced the dash, and they were like, "We're done. We got slopes, we got dashes. I mean, what else is there?
You can charge your weapons now.
Yeah. What else is there?"
Yep.
Well, clearly there was the triangle button.
Yep. Which, as we know, is the X button on the SNES.
Right.
But it would be really cool to play a mod of the old Mega Man X games.
That lets you do that.
Yeah, that would be like, I don't know. Actually, they may have made a mod at this point for it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm cheating my ass off here because I want to beat this game in a timely fashion.
Now we got the whole Mega Man X4 situation and controllers and stuff out of the way. So back to what we were talking about. Personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
I was talking about not dating. Don't date just because you want to. Okay, make sure that you've got a reason to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's my takeaway. I've spent several years not on the market because I knew that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because after the experience I had, I thought I did a lot of thinking about my life and where I was at, and whether the relationship that I was in was even a good idea to be in. Not just like the relationship itself and what was wrong with it. It was more like, was this even a good idea for me at the time? And I determined that it was not, and that it would continue to not be until I got my shit together, basically.
Right.
And I finally feel like I've kind of got my shit together. Not 100%. I'm not entirely sold on the concept that I've got my shit together.
Problem in that relationship, though. I mean,
well, no, not.
I mean, okay, I'm sorry.
Not in like
you weren't the problem in that relationship.
No. I was not like the.
You were a contributing factor to some things, I'm sure. But
I was not like the definitive problem with the relationship, but like. I know that I was not ready for what the relationship entailed.
Right.
And looking back on it retrospectively, it's like, yeah.
Does this guy even have a hitbox?
I don't think so.
Like I'm hitting him in the same place as I hit him in earlier that did damage to him.
Okay, but let me ask you this: did you hit him whenever his mouth was open?
No, now I hit him with his mouth closed.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. It's his nostrils.
Look at that!
Not. It's actually not. He does not.
No, but that's where I hit him the other time.
Maybe he has a cooldown on his hitbox.
I don't fucking know, but this is stupid.
I'm thinking he does. I'm thinking he has a cooldown.
Look at that! Even the big blast.
Yeah. I'm thinking he's got
sometimes it hits him and sometimes it doesn't.
I'm thinking that there's probably a cooldown behind the scenes that you're not privy to, where during a certain amount of time you can't hit him again.
Wow, that's
like
crazy.
Maybe he has like 10 or 15 seconds of iframes. But yeah, pretty much all I really have to say about relationships is just look at yourself, man.
Yeah.
Are you in a place where you feel like that you've got everything under control?
It really is
I think a litmus test is to say, do you find that your life is in an orderly fashion that you feel is like something that you would be that you would feel like comfortable and proud of bringing to the table? in a relationship. Like,
now, I will say that. Excuse me. I do somewhat believe in the whole like kismet thing, where it's just perfect, like this perfect situation. You meet somebody who's you just get along with on like every level, and you may not have your shit together, maybe she doesn't either, but you kind of work through it. I don't think that you should have to avoid everything that comes along just because you might not be quite in the position that you need to get married and have kids right now.
I do think you should avoid everything.
So if you meet somebody that you think is just,
I think you should never ever pursue anything with anyone ever, under any circumstances.
I'm just saying, like, what if you've got all your shit together, but she doesn't, and she feels the same, and then she gets her shit together, and something happens to you, like. You can't. There's never going to be a position where everybody's ready for everything. I believe
outright, fundamentally, 100% that there is no such thing as like the one. It's total bullshit.
The one. I'm saying somebody that you can really see yourself with, and just because you don't have the house you want to live in, the car that you want, and you're debt free, like who? Because you may get to that point, but. Who are you going to meet that meets all those criteria?
Well, I mean, look, the thing is, like, the criteria is not being debt-free and owning your own house. The criteria is that you feel that you actually have your life together enough.
Right.
That you think it's worthwhile to pursue that sort of thing. Like, if you are working at Starbucks as a barista, and that's your life, you just work at Starbucks, because you always have.
Right.
You're probably not in a position to have that relationship.
Right.
Because you're still living the early 20s, college kid life, even if you never even went to college. That is the college kid, early 20s life. You're just in the workforce.
Right.
And you haven't, like, made, like, because here's the thing. Relationships are a mutual transaction. Mm-hmm. And the idea that just because you get along with somebody means that you need to pursue that relationship with them is total. It's garbage. It's garbage. It is a transaction, and relationships that are going to be successful have to be founded on responsibility and people who know that the transaction is going to be mutually beneficial to one another. It's not just about feeling great about the situation. It's not just about getting along really great with somebody. Like, those things are super important.
Right.
But those are not the end-all, be-all. It is, hey man, it's D-Man Stick Guy. He's here. He's here.
What's up, buddy?
Hey man, I don't know if you've been hearing this conversation, but we've been dropping some truth bombs. This has been the most red-pilled thing that you've ever heard in your entire life. But
you can watch the VOD later.
Yeah. So, like, my point is that I don't feel like that it has anything to do with... Well, of course it has something to do with whether or not you get along with the other person. And whether or not you have fun with the other person. But, like, the most important thing is that the relationship is mutually beneficial. That you know that, and they know that both of you are going to get a good deal out of,
Yeah, I think they're making it too transactional. I mean, I really do.
I don't think so. I mean, what is the practical... Okay, Jeremy. Aside from the feelings, the feelings.
Not talking about feelings. I'm talking about...
What is the practical purpose of relationships? What is the practical purpose of relationships, aside from having a good time with another person?
Companionship is a big part of it for me.
Okay.
Having someone to...
Well, Jeremy, how great is that companionship going to work out for you long term if that person ends up having not had their shit together and bails on you?
I mean, I get that.
Because having your shit together, your shit together doesn't just mean that you're in a good financial position. It means that you're in a good maturity position.
Right.
And that's important. And, like, I mean,
I know.
You know this. You know exactly what I'm saying. Like, what I'm advocating for is not like a strict, like... Okay, when I say it's a
scientific.
But I'm trying to quantify, like, I'm trying to quantify things that, because it is a transaction, And it doesn't necessarily mean a monetary transaction.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's the way you took it.
I know. No, I didn't take it as a monetary transaction.
It is a transaction, though. It's a emotional, monetary. It is monetary, partially, emotional, and just in many practical ways, a transaction between two people.
Right.
To say, look, you are worthwhile. You being in my life and being a part of my life is worthwhile. Mm-hmm. Right? And so, sure, that comes in many different... There are many different facets to that.
You want to play this though?
No, I'm certain that I will do worse. There are many different facets of that, of course. I mean, companionship. You're what you said before, companionship.
Right.
That is a part of it. But for most people, that's the end-all, be-all.
Right.
If you get along with somebody, if you really like somebody, if you have really good chemistry with somebody, that's all you need.
Right, but it's important. It's not.
It is absolutely important. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying that it alone is not the foundation of a relationship.
Right. Relationships
that are built on just that you get along with someone are ones that are doomed to fail. Mm-hmm. There has to be a foundation built on multiple different, facets, right? And I'm not saying every relationship has to have, like we were talking about before, the financial responsibility thing. That's not the end-all, be-all either. None of the individual components are like the one defining factor that makes a person prepared for a relationship or a relationship between two people good.
Right.
But there has to be more than just a really strong position in one of those factors. And that's where people, I think a lot of relationships end up falling apart, is that one aspect is really strong, but the others are have no foundation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And to me personally, the most important thing has been getting the financial aspects and the kind of goals for my future sorted out, because I don't feel that I would be a beneficial person for someone else to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Until I get to that position, right?
But then you have to also kind of explain like how people. I mean, you've got your shit together when it comes to having a solid job and getting and being in line to get your shit together. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're getting your shit together, and that's what matters. And you look at people in the past, like, who lived in basic poverty most of their lives because of this circumstance or that, and stayed together for 45, 50, 60 years and were happy. And so, so you can't just, it can't just be like, I'm not in the position I want to be, so therefore I'm not good enough to pursue this person or someone.
Well, right, but I think that we're kind of conflating two issues here. It's not that I am in a position where I feel like I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish. It's that I now have a clear idea of what I want my future to be.
Right.
Having a goal figured out is more important than actually like accomplishing any particular thing. And that's the issue, I think, with most people, is that most people, especially my age and probably even up to your age, are adrift. They don't know what they want in life, and not even knowing what you're striving for is a terrible place to build a relationship with another person off of, because you have to have an idea of what you want your life to be.
Right.
Or else you can't even fathom, like, there's no way to even comprehend what you're going to make it into.
Right.
If you don't even, like, how can you plan to have a future with another person if you don't even know what you want?
Right.
To achieve?
No, I agree with that. You've got to have a plan. But I think that you don't have to have made significant strides in the direction of achieving that plan before you're a worthwhile candidate to...
Well, not necessarily, but you definitely should be on the path.
Right.
If you just have an idea of what you want to do but haven't done anything actionable whatsoever, then I don't think you've really accomplished anything at that point.
But see, the thing is, like, and this is a big deal, I think, for a long time, I had a pretty, I would say, now not everybody would agree, but I would say I had a pretty successful marriage. for the first 7 years or so, things went well. I think something happened that I don't fully understand. So I'm not gonna get into all that.
Right.
But what I will say is that like, I didn't have my shit together. I got my shit together over the years, and I still don't really have my shit together. But I'm starting to understand. People are constantly growing. You don't get to a place where you've made it. Like, you never get to where you've made it. And your plan right now may not be your plan in 5 years.
Sure, certainly, but that's, I think, maybe that's where, like, we're not entirely seeing eye to eye here. I'm not suggesting that you have figured out your life, and only until then that you've figured out your life, you're eligible to have a relationship. I'm just saying that you have to have at least figured out something about what you think you want to do.
Right.
And have some sort of plan to achieve that. But, like, plans are going to not work out the way that they were planned. That's, like, the nature of them.
Right.
So, you know, like, that's just a reality. Like, your plans are going to change. No plan has ever worked out, you know, exactly as conceived. But, like, that's not the point, you know, and like you said you felt like that you had a pretty successful marriage up until the point that it wasn't successful. But I would argue, and this may hurt, and I'm sorry, I'm dropping a truth. I'm going to drop a truth bomb here on you because that's what we're doing today. I would say that the fact that the marriage failed means that it wasn't a successful marriage at any point, because
I would call it successful because I got what I wanted out of it, which was 2 awesome kids. And
well, okay,
you know.
But that's I understand where you're coming from there. Like, you may look at it now and say that you got some of the things you wanted out of it, but you didn't get everything you wanted out of it, because what you would have wanted, at the very least, would have been that it continued.
But let me ask you this though: even though I constantly had changed and had different goals over the years, do you feel like I didn't have my shit together? Or do you feel like things seemed like they could have been going pretty well and then just weren't anymore? Because that's how I feel about it. I was actually I was taken aback.
Well, Jeremy, okay, think about it like this. Think about it like this. You, in your position, don't feel that you did anything in particular fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
Or played like a fundamental part in the dissolution of your marriage, right? Would that be accurate to say that you feel like that?
No. I'm not going to take like no responsibility.
Okay, but that's not my point.
Okay.
My point is that the main driving force behind what ended up happening to your marriage, you wouldn't see that as having been something that was caused by you. Right?
Right. Yes.
So, what that says to me is that it wasn't that your vision of your life was not where it needed to be. It was that her vision of what her life would be as a partner to you was not ever where it needed to be, because it didn't work out.
Right.
Because it didn't work out, that is the evidence that her vision was not where it needed to be. If you don't feel that you lost sight of what you wanted, then clearly she lost sight of what she thought she wanted with you.
Right.
Which means that her vision of the future with you was not on the same page and was not clear enough.
Right.
With your vision. And that's the important thing, is that there's got to be like clarity between two parties of what the vision of the future is. Right. And to me, like,
but see, that at a time we were completely together on that.
But it was fleeting for her.
For 3 or 4 years, though. And
but it ended up being fleeting for her.
Right. So,
and not for you.
But what I'm asking at this point is, what would have been any indication? What would have been any indication that like way early on, 5-6 years ago? Like, you're making this up. Like, what could I have done differently?
Well, no. I'm not saying it's what you could have done differently. I'm saying that I am arguing for you.
Yeah.
That this is not your fault.
Right.
Okay. Now that may not be entirely you know, representative of the whole situation. I'm not trying to say that you're blameless.
Right.
But I am saying that it is not, that your situation is not entirely your fault. Because that, in this case, the blame falls on her.
Mm-hmm.
For not having had her life and her understanding of the situation solidified enough that she shouldn't have brought her life. Like my argument is that the people I'm talking to, that I'm saying you need to get your shit together before you go out and have a relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to her, not you. Because you did have a clear idea of what you wanted.
Right.
And she clearly did not.
Right.
So, I'm not saying the fault lies on you. I'm saying the fault lies on her because she's that person I'm trying to talk to.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Understand
I
what I'm
get you
saying?
now, yeah.
And so I'm not trying to berate you about all the mistakes you made in your life.
Right. What would be cool, D-Man?
Yeah, what would be cool, D-Man Stick Guy? We're all dying to know. Given that you're the only person who watches our stream. But anyway, yeah, that's really my point, is that I feel like that it's important for everybody. And like you may not have, there may be no way to avoid this in certain cases, because there may be no sign, but that's not the situation. But it's all about the personal responsibility, is that if you're hearing me talk to you,
yeah,
I'm saying that I think that you, whoever you are, should try to have your shit together, and try to have an idea of what you want out of your relationships and out of your future before you pursue them. And hopefully, if two people have that plan and have that idea together, then when they come together, there's going to be no conflicts.
Right.
I mean, of course, there are going to be conflicts.
I was going to say, I think
there's not going to be there's not going to be any major conflict of interests.
Right.
You know, there's going to be just bullshit. But that's relationships.
People are changing. Like, I don't think that everybody always, like, because you can be on the same page with somebody, and you can be 100% like on board with whatever this other person's doing, and then suddenly the other person is not on board anymore. Like that, because I feel like we had a synergy for a long time where we understood each other. Okay. And then just suddenly, like, things happened and we weren't anymore.
Yeah, well, you say that, and I understand how that you had that perspective, because, and I don't know your relationship, but I mean, I've been through a similar situation, although not to the same extent as yours.
Well, mine was 12 years long.
Right. And my entire relationship was, you know, for 3.5 years long. But, we'll get to you in just a second, D-Man Stick Guy. We will.
I think that's Mega Man ZX for the DS. Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, did you just make that up?
No, it's in the future timeline after Mega Man X. Not colliding into a planet, not necessarily, but that would be cool though. That would definitely be cool. But Mega Man Zero and Mega Man ZX come after Mega Man X, like hundreds of years in the future. But anyway.
Okay. Well, look, what I'm saying is that sometimes people just put on a front in a relationship or think they're down with something because it sounds like a pretty good idea. But that's not what they really want.
Right.
And they may not even know for sure that it's not what they want, but they also, it's not something that comes from, again, this comes back to the same thing. The reason I think it's so important that you have your own, like, goals and are clear about what those goals are is that your relationship doesn't become one-sided.
Right.
Because a one-sided relationship where one person has a strong idea about what they want the future to be and the other person doesn't, it's easy for the other person to say, yeah, that sounds good, but it doesn't come from them.
Right.
And if it doesn't come from them, it's easy to abandon.
Right.
And I think that sounds to me like maybe what part of the problem was, is that you had the idea you wanted your future to be,
Mm-hmm.
and she heard it and thought it sounded good.
Right.
But it didn't come from her own, desires.
Okay, so how are two
necessarily.
people ever going to completely
agree
on how their life
they're not
together
necessarily
should be?
going to. But the important thing is that they're both aware of what the other person wants.
Right.
And you can't be aware of what the other person wants if they don't know what they want.
Right.
And so that's why I'm not look, I'm not saying that the burden is on you to find that
You don't
person.
have to keep being like, trying to keep...
No.
I know I did
I'm
things
using
wrong.
the royal you. I'm using the royal you. Anyone who is listening to this, the burden is not necessarily on you to find out if the person, like to somehow mind read the person to find out if they truly are on the same page. But I would hope that everybody who can hear the message of what I'm saying tries to make that actionable in their own lives, so that hopefully in the distant future, when this message has reached all of humanity, that everybody tries to be more careful about the relationships that they enter into, and about deciding whether or not they are truly available for a relationship. Because I think that it all comes down to personal responsibility. If you know what your future is and you are open with it about somebody else, then you have done your job. Right? And if the other person says, yes, I agree, I'm down for that, then there's nothing you can do if that's not true and you just don't know that. I mean, it's not your fault if the relationship fails. But if both people are on the same page truly, then the relationship will be successful. There's no way it can't be. Because if both people know what they want and are clear with each other on what they want, and they decide together that, you know what we both want out of life is similar enough that I think we could make a good pair. Then that is all you need to make a good pair.
But human nature is fickle. And what you want today, what they want today, may not be what they want 10 years from now. I
think...
Because we both pretty well thought we knew what we wanted. And we...
Now you say that. You say that. But where is she saying that?
Well, I don't know. She was desperately wanting to get married. She was desperately wanting to start a family. Those were things that she wanted. We did those things. Like what,
But other aspects of your relationship, were those in the same place, though?
I mean, like what? Like what is an example?
Hey, we answered the chat. What are you talking about, D-Man Stick Guy? We answered your chat. No, my example is like maybe...
Yeah, I totally answered. I answered everything that you said, bro.
Yeah, Mega Man ZX, come on. Get on our level. I mean, clearly, you have more subs.
Maybe he's saying that he doesn't answer the chat.
Well, maybe, but here's the thing. You may have more subs than us, but you're watching us right now, so suck on that.
That's true. Also, we started this as just playing video games together, and we thought, hey, let's stream this. So
also,
we don't really care. But
we're not middle-aged either.
Yeah, we're really not. This dude's 27. So.
Yeah. I'm in my prime.
Anyway, what is it D-Man Stick Guy? What do you stream?
Yeah. Well, anyway, in the meantime, while we wait for D-Man Stick Guy to get back to us.
Yeah. Because you'll have another sub, bro.
What I'm saying is... dude, I don't even know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, like, I think financial goals are probably the ones that are the biggest problem in relationships. I know from my personal experience, that was a big problem. And I feel like that's the one that's easiest for people to just, like, look at what the other person's saying and be like, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Nice.
Okay.
No, is your channel just D-Man Stick Guy? Do
you stream on YouTube or do you stream on Twitch or both?
Yeah.
I mean, Restream, that's a thing. That's what we use. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I feel like that financial issues are the main like place where it's easy for somebody to say, yeah, your financial goals sound good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that. Then it's actually hard to do.
Yeah.
And then they go, you know, this actually blows.
Yeah.
It's not what I want. Although that's not the only thing. But
okay, but let me ask you this. What if everything seems to be going fine until somebody becomes obsessed with, let's say...
Gotcha, I see D-Man Stick Guy. He streams, but he mostly posts.
Okay.
Well, as you know, we stream every Monday, so,
yeah.
You know, maybe that's why we have a viewer.
Yeah. We got another sub when I get home later.
Oh.
So do ours. So that's cool.
Well, I don't know. We'll leave you that up to you. You tell us what you think of our stream.
Anyway, so let's say that it seems like everybody's on board. And I'm talking about on board to the point where, you know, with the financial goals and the business aspect of things, they're actually participating.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden they become really, really obsessed with, let's say, Dubai.
Okay, right. They need to go to Dubai all the time.
They need to go to Dubai all the time. And suddenly they don't care about the financial goals or the business anymore, and they just want to go to Dubai.
Uh-huh.
And they go to Dubai, and
Right.
then all they can think about is going back to Dubai.
Because of the
And then-
architecture, right?
because of the architecture.
The cool architecture.
But not with like me or not as a family, but like
Right.
just by themselves or
Well,
with a
I
friend.
mean, let's be honest, Dubai has really cool
No,
architecture.
Dubai's fucking sweet. I want to go. Let's go to Dubai sometime.
Yeah, we should.
But anyway, so then, just all of a sudden, you know, it's all about Dubai. Posted pictures of Dubai on
Right.
Facebook.
Getting
By the way-
tattoos
by
in
the way,
Dubai.
Dubai is not code for another man. It's actually code for another country.
Right, it
Which
is
Dubai's
another
not
country.
a country. Dubai's a city, but you know what I mean. So anyway, and then all of a sudden,
Well, no,
like,
Dubai is an emirate. It's
Yeah.
an emirate. It's complicated. The UAE is complicated
Gotcha.
and weird.
Anyway, basically, it's more like a city than a country.
Yeah, it's
But,
kind of like a territory, really, more than
Okay.
anything.
Gotcha. All right. So anyway, Dubai was let's just say let's say Dublin.
Yeah, Dublin. They've really got to go to Dublin.
No.
No,
No,
Ireland.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Europe.
Right. Okay. Got to go to Europe.
but more accurately, like
The UK.
the UK in Europe.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, and then all of a sudden, like, all communication starts to slow down, and this person only thinks about this, and
How about the UK?
and her friends that she's met and that she goes to the UK with occasionally, and it goes from pretty well a symbiotic relationship to a relationship where
To a parasitic relationship.
to a parasitic relationship. To a relationship where basically I'm just kind of the third wheel to what she really wanted to be doing.
Right.
And that interest and that motivation for other things didn't happen until like 7 years into our marriage.
Well, okay, but Jeremy, here's the thing. Okay, I get what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. But my question to you is, who drove that original goal set? Who was the driver behind it? Was it her or was it you? Was she going along with your plan, or did you craft your plan
All
together?
Right. But we did. You were one of the hottest cities in the world.
D-Man Stick Guy, one of the hottest cities in the world. Okay, hey man, I'm not gonna argue with you. I haven't seen the data, so
Are
I
you
can.
talking about Dubai, Dublin, or yourself? I'm not. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm assuming he's talking about Dubai, but
sure.
So I lost my train of thought. Oh, well, okay. So before we were married, she knew I had plans to invest in real estate. She knew I had plans to get out of debt, and like
Right.
you know, she knew. And she was like on board. She was like, "That's cool." Like,
but
you know,
being
cool.
on board is
And
different than having your own plans. What were her plans? Did she come to you and say, "Hey, I have..." Exactly, Jeremy.
Okay.
You just made my case
All right,
for me.
I got you.
She didn't have any, and then yours sounded good, which made it easy to latch onto them. But at a certain point, it got old.
I guess. I mean,
it got old dealing.
Why does it take 11 or 12 years?
Well, some people hold on for a long time before they finally give up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Jeremy. What I'm trying to say is that if you get into a relationship and the other person doesn't have any goals for their own life, then that's your sign, right? There's your warning sign.
She wanted to be a teacher, which she did for 2 years. She wanted to, you know, she wanted a family. She wanted, like, these are all things that I was interested in. Like, I was like, yeah, you're gonna go out, you're making a living for yourself. You're gonna contribute to the family. You know, these were all things that were attractive to me. And you know, it went from we were gonna wait 5 years and we were gonna travel around to having pressure on, you know, within 2 years to start having kids. And so things changed. Things changed. But I didn't see any like warning signs because she got through school in 4 years. A lot of people don't do that. She worked all the way through school. Like she carried jobs while she was going to school full time and graduating in 4 years. But all of those things kind of went away after she graduated. Like it took her a year to find a job, and then after she found a job, she taught for 1 year, and then quit to be a stay-at-home mom, and then went back not as a teacher but as a paraprofessional.
I feel like your plans
begrudgingly went back. She didn't even go back like willingly or excitedly. She went back because she was like, you know, it's time to go back, I guess.
I think well, part of the problem there is probably that the plan didn't end up actually being the plan.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go. There's a problem right there.
Her plan?
Her plan didn't even end up getting actionable.
She was excited enough to actually freaking go to school, which I didn't even do.
Well, sure, but I mean, like, going to school is not exciting or impressive. It's like the default. Like, the fact that you didn't go to school.
But to graduate to start with one major and follow it through for 4 years and graduate in 4 years is pretty impressive this day and age.
I mean, do you have statistics on that? Because everybody I know of, with the exception of a couple of people, did just that. Selected a major, went through, got educated, and then got it.
On that specific thing?
I
knew several
people I went to school with.
I went to college.
Either didn't go to college or did go to college, accomplished their goal, and are not working in that field because that's impossible. You don't get a job in the field you went. But at least they got through school.
Right. Well, no, I mean, I know several people.
I know a couple of people who went to school twice, like 2 entire full. Like, I know what you're talking about. Because I know a couple of people who went to school like twice because they went through their first 4 years, didn't end up with a degree that they actually wanted, and then went back to school and then did. You know, and in that case, it's like, you know, that sucks. But that was just bad planning. But anyway, I don't know, man. I don't even know what else to say here. I'm just saying that I think that it's... In analyzing your situation from what I know about it, which frankly is not much, I really feel like that it seems like that probably a lot of the goal setting was one-sided.
Yeah.
And then whenever those goals were no longer enticing to the other side, because they were not of, you know, their own creation.
Right.
It was probably a lot easier to bail out of the relationship. I mean, that's just, I think that's what happens to a lot of relationships. That they end up being one-sided.
See, I see it a little bit differently too, because, you know, my definition of love is different from, you know, the traditional, or not traditional, but not the traditional. It's the same as the traditional, but the different from like the perspective of a lot of people now. I have always seen love as a commitment no matter what. No matter what happens, Unless it's just nefarious.
Well,
a commitment.
You know,
no
I
matter
used
what
to think
happens.
that way. I used to think that way, and I think it's actually counterproductive to think that way.
I don't know.
I think that loving
I think it's
unconditionally, I think loving unconditionally is not a virtue. I think that if you get into a relationship with a person and it ends up being under false pretenses, that it is not a virtue to stick out that relationship. But it has to have actually been under false pretenses. You can't just be like, I'm not happy anymore. Because that's such a bullshit thing to say.
Well, see, you know, regardless of what you think about my relationship...
Well, no, I'm not
happy.
making judgment. I'm not making any judgment on your relationship. I'm just making judgment on the sentiment that... On the overall sentiment that love should be unconditional. I don't think that makes any sense. Because, like I said before, I feel like that... I believe that relationships are a transaction. Well, no, I don't believe that. They are, like, for all practical purposes, a transaction. And if one person is not holding up their end of the bargain, then at that point, yeah, like, love should not be unconditional. It should have limited conditions. But there should be conditions, right? Some very limited conditions that are like, look, if you're like just extra super not, you know, not holding up your end of the bargain of what our relationship was meant to be based on the standards that we set for the relationship at, you know, at some point in the outset of the relationship, then yeah, I think that, you know, you shouldn't be trapped in a relationship that is not, that's not delivering on what was promised, right? It's just that people bail on relationships so easily nowadays. Yeah. That it's just, I don't think that's acceptable, because the excuses for bailing on relationships are like just anything. Just like I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it anymore. Yep. So therefore, but you know, I don't think that love should be completely unconditional. I think that there are conditions, that there should be some standards that can be set where it's like, okay, this is not a fruitful relationship anymore. Yeah. So if it's not a fruitful relationship, then what is the point? You're like wasting, you're wasting potential of what your life could be if you have a partner that is not being fruitful in your relationship. I mean, would you understand the perspective I'm coming from? I mean, does it make sense what I'm saying to you? But because is it like not
me personally? I did love that way, and regardless of how, you know, it wasn't even. It wasn't even. I wasn't getting everything out of that relationship that I probably should have been. But it doesn't matter, because I had a family with someone. I had a family. I had a responsibility. I had a commitment to someone. To take care of them, you know, and I made vows for richer or poor, better or worse, you know, till death do us part. That was, I honored those. And I would have until I had died. Because that's the way that I see it. I see that I made commitment, and whether or not I'm getting everything out of the relationship that I feel like I should have, or I feel like I deserve, or 50-50 this and that, doesn't matter, because no relationship is going to be that. There's never going to be a 100% 50-50 everybody giving their part relationship.
And that's why I say, you know, there should be some conditions, you know, where it's like there is a point at which you can say, look, this relationship is fruitless. And a fruitless relationship is just a waste of everyone's time and life and potential.
A fruitless relationship is where somebody, one or the other, or both parties have checked out completely, or that there's another person in the mix. And those are the only two conditions in which, unless the person turns out to be like a fucking murderer or pedophile or something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know, you'll see, okay, but you'll see these relationships where you've got these two old people who absolutely detest one another.
Well, yeah, I mean.
But they're just together because they just are together.
Right.
That is a fruitless relationship.
Yeah.
Why does it exist? It is a waste of those people's time.
It's a marriage of convenience at that point, and aren't they getting something out of the convenience of being married? Like, yeah, they may detest each other, but they don't know life outside of each other either. And if that's their comfort zone, then let them do it.
But is that I mean, yeah, you can do it if you want to, but I just feel that it is fruitless. And if you feel like you're trapped in that kind of relationship, then that's a trap.
You said two old people that detest each other. Grandma and grandpa detest each other, but they stay together.
Grandma always makes Grandpa breakfast, so that's all it really matters.
But she also hates his guts, and that's the thing. Like, yes, they hate each other. Yes, they detest each other, but Grandma.
I hope Grandma's not watching this stream right now.
Grandma irons Grandpa's pants with a crease and starch.
But why though?
And Grandpa, makes funny jokes about her. Like that, I don't know. Like,
but why the crease though? That's
that was the question. I don't know. But the thing, like, Grandma puts the crease in Grandpa's jeans. And jeans. I'm talking about jeans, not slacks.
Yeah, I know, and I'm wondering
Grandma
why.
puts the starched crease in Grandpa's jeans, and Grandpa, mows the yard. I mean, that's exactly.
Yeah, but does he though? Because I'm pretty sure that Grandma mows the yard.
No,
also,
she doesn't. Does Grandma mow the yard?
I have literally seen her mowing the yard.
I have not, so that's awesome. Grandpa takes the coins out of the car wash.
That's true. He does do that.
So
anyway, man, if Grandpa's watching, he's gonna be like, "Yep,
that's what I do. That's what I do." Sue cooks the food, and she puts the crease in my jeans,
cleans the house, keeps everything up,
cleans up after me, and I collect those coins out of that car wash. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is they detest each other. They are that crotchety old couple who doesn't really like each other, but she puts the crease in his jeans and he collects the coins, and that's what they do.
Right.
That's what they do for each other, and they're there for Thanksgiving, and they're there for Christmas, and they're there for their family, and that's what they do for each other.
Sure.
And in that, I don't think they've lived a completely unfulfilled life.
Well, no, and I'm not saying that, but look, their situation is not everybody's situation. There are people that truly do hate each other and serve no utility for one another. They just are in the same home, and that is not healthy.
Well, don't you think if it became nonsensical enough, they would divorce? I mean, why would they stay together? Because they've got to be getting something out of it.
Well, okay, so an aspect of that is saving face. I mean, saving face is a major aspect of that, especially for people of that generation.
Yeah.
Is that it's like, well, you don't want everybody to know,
Right.
Like everybody knows, but you don't want them to know, Right. like they know, but it's different whenever you announce it to everybody. There's a certain we should make it look like we still have a functional relationship even though we don't.
Right.
Because it would just be a scandal if everybody actually had confirmation.
Right.
And I think that's a major aspect of it. But
there's a lot to be said about.
There are destructive relationships that people are stuck in where, one party is abusive to the other and the other stays there because they don't feel like there's anywhere else they can go. And that's also an unproductive relationship that you should be getting out of. And you should not feel trapped in.
Well, absolutely.
And there are people who do feel trapped in that.
I get that, but in cases of abuse or infidelity or things like that, of course, I get it.
I know I know where you're coming from there. But what I'm saying is that I think that some of that feeling of being trapped in those relationships is due to the same kind of thinking that love should be unconditional, that it shouldn't matter. And that's taking it to a greater extreme than what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to abuse, it comes from a point of this person has made this person think that they can't survive without them.
Right.
I'm the only way you're gonna make it in the world. So, Anyway, that's my thought on that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say 100% unconditional. I don't know how. Anyway. This is not even the game we're playing, so I'm getting frustrated about something I'm doing for bullshit. But
hey, there's nothing bullshit about Mario 3.
No, absolutely not. Anyway, unconditional is the wrong way to put it. I said commitment.
Sure, but I mean, that's a carry
100% unconditional. Beat the shit out of somebody and then they forgive you, or go have 3 affairs and then it's it's unconditional love. I mean work through your shit. Like, if you have differences, work through them.
But that can only be done if both parties are on board for working through them.
Yes, but that doesn't change the fact that I was always and would have always been willing and able to work through.
But Jeremy, like, I think what you're missing is that I'm not talking about your relationship. I'm talking in generalizations. Right. Because wanting.
You said, the concept of unconditional love, or that like total commitment was a, what did you say, a counterproductive?
Well, I said I don't think it's a virtue, because a lot of people do. They think of it as a virtuous thing. And I don't think it's a virtue, and I think it's counterproductive in relationships that are truly like non-productive. And I do think that relationships are a transaction between two people, people who hope that their goals align, and who will be mutually beneficial in accomplishing their respective goals. A relationship that is counterproductive to that is completely pointless, because if it's no longer accomplishing the goal of what the relationship set out with, then what is the point of the relationship? Yeah. So that's the perspective I'm coming from, because like I think a lot of the problem is that people, well, I mean, we live in the United States of America, right? We've got a 50% divorce rate, right? And I think a lot of the problem with divorce doesn't come down to people not working out the relationships that they've got. I think a lot of the problem with divorce is that people get into relationships they shouldn't be in the first place. Yeah. And that cannot be worked out, because those relationships are entirely unproductive. And they shouldn't be in those relationships. Right. And so, like, I don't think the solution is that people should divorce less. I think the solution is that people should get married less. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I just honestly think that you can't 100% know a person before.
No, you can't. You can't. But here's the thing.
100% know their goals or what they're going to do in 10 years. Like, there's no
But what you can know. But here's what you can know. And this, again, I'm not judging you, so just try to separate yourself from what I'm saying.
I'm not putting myself in. I'm saying that I only have my experiences to go on. I'm not trying to defend myself.
Yeah, and I only have my experiences to go on. I've been through, what has shaped my mindset on this is what I went through, and what I ended up coming up with is that I did not do my due diligence. I accepted the relationship for what it was, rather than thinking about it as a transaction between me and her. And the folly there is that she never had any plans. She never had any goals. And I had ideas about some things that I wanted to do with my life, and she thought that those sounded good, right? Those sounded good because it's easy to say, yeah, that sounds great. Because it does sound great until you actually have to live it.
Right.
And then it's not so great. And I mean, I did not have my life together either.
Right.
But what little I had planned out, she was not actually thrilled with whenever it came whenever it ended up becoming, something that I was actually doing, Right. She became quickly annoyed with the amount of time that I was not spending with her while I was trying to get other things taken care of. And that was a major problem in our relationship, right. Is that the time that I was spending on trying to do other things I was trying to accomplish in life was taking away from time she wanted me to spend with her. Right. And when it came to the reality of living that life, she did not like it. Right. Even though, at the outset of the relationship, I said, these are some things I want to accomplish, and I'm going to spend this time.
So what were these things that you wanted to accomplish? Are they still goals today?
Well, yeah, to a certain degree. Just my kind of, like, pursuit of my own various different interests and trying to make them into, financially viable things. Like... Right. Repairing Super Nintendos, perfect example. But at the time, I was doing a lot of woodworking, right, and trying to make that into a thing. And my perspective was, I want to try to hone my crafts. I want to be good at things so that I can have marketable skills that I can use in the future and build my own enterprises. Right? That's what I wanted, and that's what I still want. I feel like my goals are still the same. In that respect, is that I want to build my own enterprise with my own skills. Right. And and when it came to me actually like getting out there and doing those things, that took time away from what she wanted, which was for me to just sit inside the house with her,
right,
while she did whatever she was going to do, but felt like I was present there,
right,
and that to me seemed useless.
Yeah.
Because we weren't accomplishing anything. I was just in there, you know, with her. And I didn't want to just be in there with her and wasting my time. I wanted to be doing things because that's what I always do.
I think there's some merit to just doing what she wants to do sometimes. Like,
well, yeah, and I did what she wanted to do all the fucking time. And then whenever I did need to go and do the things I needed to do to accomplish my goal, it was a problem for her.
Yeah.
So, like, that is the issue. Like, that was the main issue. I think it was fundamental to the collapse of my relationship.
Right.
And the problem was that she didn't have any plans of her own. She didn't have any goals of her own. She didn't have any interests of her own. Anything that she was remotely interested in, she gleaned from me. And I should have known that that was not going to work. But I didn't know because I wasn't smart enough to know that at the time. I thought, no, man, I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. And she thinks that my stuff is cool. So that makes me the coolest guy. Yeah. Now I realize that if you meet a girl and she thinks that you're cool, that's the death sentence of the relationship. If she thinks you're cool, man, that's not going to work out. Yeah. Like, she needs to think that you're...
hate your guts first.
She needs to think that you're kind of lame, but see that, you know, well, at least he's got, like, some things he wants to do, right? Like, but if she thinks you're cool and like wants to like be in on the things you're into, then that's a problem. Because one of these days,
so you think that I shouldn't look for a girl that's into anime and video games?
I think that should be like a perk, of all the other things that that makes her qualified to be a partner of yours, right? And if she's not, that is not a deal breaker. Because shared interest is not actually that important in a relationship. No,
I agree with that. I mean, you know.
People value shared interest way too much. It is not very important. You know what the cool thing about people who don't share interests with you is that you now have an opportunity to make them interested in something that you are. And the thing is, as long as you're on the same page in other important ways, it's okay if you don't have the same interests, you know, when it comes down to what you like to watch on TV or whatever. Because there's a chance that being exposed to you and your interests for enough time, they might develop an interest for that thing. Because interests can be acquired, right? But, like, fundamental, like, incompatibilities can't be overcome. So you got to make sure those are good before you worry about your interests. That's just, those are just toppings on a relationship. And I think the problem is that, like, one of the problems is that like, a lot of media and the general kind of sentiment in our society is that, like, finding somebody who's interested in the same things as you is the most important thing. And that's a problem.
No, I don't agree with that. But I do agree that, I mean, you have to have some compatibility.
Well,
outside of just having the same, like, similar goals.
Here's what I think.
Similar, like...
The most important thing when it comes to compatibility is chemistry. If you just you sit down and talk to a person and you have good chemistry with them, that's what matters. That you're interested in the same animes doesn't necessarily matter. But that you have good chemistry with somebody and you can freely and openly talk with somebody. That's like the most important thing, right? So if you've got that, then it's easy to talk about your goals and what you want out of life, right? Which is the next thing that you need to accomplish.
There's a girl I see on a regular basis that I have fantastic chemistry with. I mean, we talk just the whole time, like just about everything. But like weeks before I met her, she has a daughter. And like weeks before I met her, she started dating her daughter's dad again, and then she like you can't get in the way of that. Like you can't be like, nah, you know what? Forget your daughter. Like,
right.
You know, hang out with me instead. Like, you know.
But you have to wonder, like, why did that relationship
it may
fail?
not. No,
like,
it may not be the best thing. But who am I to say that you shouldn't be with the
well,
father of your child?
Yeah, I mean, it's not your
place.
place. It's not your place for sure because it's her life. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, is it best for her daughter?
Maybe or maybe not. But
you don't know.
But I can't
know.
be the one to say that.
But there's got to be a reason that the relationship didn't work out the first time. And if it didn't work out the first time, that means there's I mean, it can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it can happen.
It's a mom. It's a mom at dance class.
I know for sure.
When I go to Kyrie's dance class, we talk the whole time.
I know for sure that you know, it can happen that a relationship that failed the first time can work out the second time because you know my best friend's parents are that relationship where it utterly and completely failed the first time, but then since then they've been together happily and are obviously a happy couple for like 20 years, or well, not 20. Actually,
about 20
about
years
20
they've been
years
back
now.
together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were together.
So that may be.
They were together for a few years, had a couple kids, and then their marriage fell apart. And then, I don't know, maybe like 15, 16 years is probably how long they've been back together.
That may be a testament to your point, though. Like they didn't have their shit together when they first.
No, they didn't, and then ultimately they did get their shit together. Well, okay, actually, what really happened is that she had her shit together, he did not.
Okay.
And I believe this.
Right.
You know, I've been told this. I believe it. Having not been there,
right.
I know these people. I believe it.
Right.
She had her shit together. I'm sure that there was never a point in her life where she didn't have her shit together. I mean, this woman is the most like competent person I've ever encountered in my life. But yeah, I could definitely see him not having his shit together. And that's the story.
Be careful here because there could be a chance that this best friend of yours could possibly watch our stream.
Oh well, yeah.
someday,
I mean, he knows that our stream exists, but like, there's no danger here. His parents' relationship worked out.
Yeah, he knows probably.
Right. Well, he's aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's one of those cases, but it's not common though. Usually, whenever a relationship fails, it fails because there's something fundamentally wrong there.
Right.
But you know,
motherfucker.
Why is there even a guy over here? Isn't that black area there supposed to signify like the end of hostilities?
No, that's the troll. That's a troll. That's early Mario Brothers trolls.
That's Nintendo hard there.
Right. Now, that's Nintendo bitch. That's what that is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, look, that's I pretty much said all I need to say about relationships. Yeah. You know, I'm a guy who's never had a successful one, so what do I know?
Please don't I think that maybe I was coming off as defensive. I wasn't being defensive. What I was doing is defending the ideals that I had.
Right.
Because
and I want you to understand that I'm not.
I wasn't defending my relationship or what I did in the relationship.
And I don't want you to feel like that I'm attacking you because it's not my intention. I'm just what I'm trying to do is your life is just happens to be oh shit.
Okay. Sweet.
Your life experience recently happens to be an example of that I can talk about of what. You know, because, I mean, after my marriage failed, I did a lot of thinking about what relationships are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I came up with all this. Is like I went through a failed marriage, and then it forced me to think really hard about relationships. And these are the things I found to be true. And they're not necessarily, I mean, I'm not saying that I am necessarily right, but I feel like that I have really good arguments for what I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, you're just an example. You just your situation happens to be an example to talk to you about.
Right.
Whenever I'm expressing these things. So I understand you're not like defending that you made necessarily your relationship was perfect and that I'm, you know, and I'm not attacking you and I know you understand that.
Right. I do understand.
But you just happen to be a good study of the concept right now,
right?
Of what I'm talking about. Because generally speaking, I want more people to have more successful relationships rather than going into relationships that are doomed to fail.
Right, and that is why Caleb and I are marriage counselors. If anybody needs marriage advice,
we are in fact marriage counselors. You can just
hold on, I can do it. This can happen.
This is hard to watch. This is hard. This is pretty sad, Jeremy.
I mean, this is to get like 12 coins. I really
but I'm just saying it's such a sad situation to get yourself into. Cause there was a solution, and now it's gone. Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Well, anyway, so yeah, we had a hell of a gamut of topics here. But
we
I feel like they all kind of had to do with each other.
Interconnected. I mean, I think that we got off on this because of my epiphany that stemmed from, the way I've been living my life. That came from that segued off of, wastefulness and wasting time, wasting resources, wasting things like trailers, which is where we started this conversation. So
don't buy trailers. That's what Jeremy's saying.
Don't buy a trailer.
Don't buy a house.
But don't buy a trailer. I mean,
rent until you can buy a house.
No, the only way I would say to buy a trailer is like if you got a real good deal on like a 300 unit trailer park, and you're gonna make just hella money every month.
Then buy all the trailers.
Then buy all the trailers.
But here's the thing. If you're in a situation where you can't afford a house, you're not that you can't afford a house, but you have bad credit, right?
Right.
You have bad credit, so you can't get a house. Rent.
You should rent.
Rent and get your credit sorted out.
Yep.
Then when you have good enough credit to buy a house, buy a house.
And get your income sorted out. Don't just get your credit sorted out. Get your income sorted out.
That too.
If whatever you're making now is not enough to pay a mortgage payment and take care of the basic necessities of a house, then you're not making enough money, and you really should go out and make more money. I'm going to be unapologetic in saying that. I've started with no education or with, a little bit of college but not graduated, and gone from dirt poor poverty, like having to borrow money to pay my $500 taxes at the end of the year, to, a thing that I'm trying to get out of right now, but having 15 rental properties and owning a couple of houses of my own and being able to pay cash for vehicles. Like, I've done that because I wanted to, and anybody can do it because I don't have any special education. I don't have any special privilege, other than the obvious
the obvious privilege that we all have.
Next week's topic.
But you know what? I am saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't come from anywhere special either. Me and Jeremy came from the same place, more or less. And
the most our parents ever made when I was at home
was bad financial decisions.
Was bad financial decisions.
So
we didn't learn from the best.
We didn't have an example. We didn't have a good example, but we both arrived at a decent place.
We didn't learn from the best when it came to financial decisions. We didn't also come from a family who made any more than the entire time I lived at home $50,000 a year.
Right.
It changed when you moved to Indianapolis.
It did change when we moved to Indianapolis, but that was
the most that they ever made when I was a kid was $50,000 a year, and to a family of 5 on $50,000 a year is not that easy. It's not easy, and so I'm not saying we were dirt poor. We didn't want for anything. But we also didn't come from wealth or luxury.
We were firmly entrenched in the middle class. Mm-hmm. In the lower middle class.
Yeah.
And
I would say
that's
lower middle class. That's not
a super fancy. Yeah. We were the poor kids in the school.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's not a great position to start from.
Yeah.
It's not the worst position to start from, but it is not a great position. We didn't start from some huge point of advantage.
Right.
And
when our parents die, we're getting next to no inheritance. I mean, it's not like
we're hoping for a book. We're hoping to get a book from our dad, but that's about it.
That's about it. And a book written by our dad.
A book written by our dad about his life.
Yeah.
Is what we want. And that's what we're
bookstores and June of 2026 if he hasn't died yet, because you know he's got one foot in the grave. I mean, just
well, to hear him tell it.
right. I mean, he's a pretty healthy guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's in pretty good health and shape and everything.
When he kicks the bucket, so.
I mean, you know, he like most people who you know work in fairly hard labor.
Yeah.
All their lives, you know, he's got a few problems, but he's honestly in pretty good health and pretty good shape. So
honestly, he could benefit a lot from one of my tubs.
yeah, that's true. But let's see you convince him to spend $15,000.
All right, that's Jump Shoot Bros. Mega Man 6 Streamcast topic: human waste. If you have any other points to add to ours, put them in
if
the
you got any
section
spicy
below.
meatballs to leave us in the comments, let us know.
Also, check us out every Monday at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m.
Hey,
Standard Time.
big shout out to D-Man Stick Guy. This is the third stream that he's joined us for, and while he did not stay for the whole stream, he did peek in here and talk to us a little bit, and that's nice. And we just want to honor that loyalty because
it is nice to have one person at least in chat who comes back time after time.
Right.
It is nice.
And even though his input is questionable at best,
very questionable at best,
it is still nice to have him.
Yep.
So thanks, D-Man Stick Guy. And hey, if you want to be shouted out too, just join us on the streams.
Yeah. And
because we will be sure to talk to you because there's literally no one else here besides D-Man Stick Guy.
We're officially out of the 8-bit era, and we're moving on to Mega Man 7 on the SNES.
We might actually play that on original hardware.
Yeah, we're getting super modern.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? PlayStation? Yeah.
Yeah, that's next. That's literally after Super Nintendo.
Right.
So then what's next after that? PlayStation 3?
No.
Yeah.
No, back to SNES again. Here's Mega Man.
What about Mega Man 9 and 10?
Oh, I don't want to do those.
Oh, you don't?
I really don't want to do those.
Oh.
So, sorry guys. If you want
I thought we were
Mega
doing
Man
all
again,
of classic Mega Man, then doing Mega Man X.
See, I don't feel like I don't have the canon feels for those, like they're real games. I feel like
I mean, officially speaking, they are.
I know. I just
classic
don't like
Mega
them
Man.
that much. I don't like them that much. They're
Okay.
really hard compared to the other 9 or 6. They're really hard.
All right. I'll allow it, but I'm just going to say the fans are not going to be too happy. D-Man Stick Guy, he does not seem like the kind of guy who'd be okay with us passing up Mega Man 9 and 10.
I think that, you know, if we just move on to X, nobody will notice. How about that?
I think he's going to notice. And I'm fairly certain in the last stream he said Mega Man 9's his favorite.
But Mega Man 9 is the one that I'll die on Tornado Man's level 100 times in a row. And we don't have save states on whatever platform we play that on.
That's true.
Therefore, it's going to be the worst stream ever.
Sorry, D-Man Stick Guy.
now.
We may be skipping that one.
Hey, D-Man Stick Guy, why don't we host you playing Mega Man 9 one time?
Yeah, you should play
on
it.
our channels. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll comment over it. We'll just do a commentary track.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. Okay, that's the plan. We're going to do that. All right,
Yeah.
D-Man Stick Guy, get in touch with us.
All right.
All right, well, that's all I've got.
We see you next Monday.
All right, later.
Sometime between 7:30 and 8:30.
Yeah, all right, bye.